yours. This is your morning show from Marianas. True story. And today we're going to get to all the stuff that you want to get to. We're going to do a little traffic, we're going to do a little weather, we're going to do a little sports. It looks a little dark out there, and it is. It's not quite so dark, though. I set the exposure a little bit too much in the dark zone there. Too bad. Trust me, it'll pay off later in the show, and I don't have to get up and go do it again because I don't have it set to automatic. Wouldn't that be easier? Yes, I agree. Well, anyway, let's get you a real quick look at traffic this morning. I want to say good morning, Marianas. It is going to be a beautiful day outside today. You can see that we got a little bit of rain on the road. It is a little bit wet out there, so just be careful when you're zipping in and out of traffic. You know you don't have to worry about taking your kids to school today if you're with the public school system because it's Holy Week. That's right. It is Holy Week, so enjoy it. Take some time at home, spend some time with the family, and really enjoy it. Reconnect with that fam while you can. And while you're at it, enjoy a little bit of extra food because this is the last Friday for Lent. And your Fridays will be free again. Anyway, it's 81 degrees outside right now, and we are looking at another good one. We're looking at scattered showers throughout the day, mainly before noon. After that, going to be pretty great. We're looking at partly sunny skies with a high near 87 today. A nice wind, actually. 14, 16 miles per hour, but gusts as high as 21 with a 30% chance of rain throughout the rest of the day. That is not bad at all. That's the kind of thing we like to hear. It's dry season. This way, we're not going to have to worry so much about our little Bambi friends out there and the bad guys setting fires to chase them out, to hunt them. And if you do hunt them and you catch them, fine, give me some. Because I love that banadu, man. It is good. Just don't start the fires, do it. Hunt them the right way. Hunt them the right way. The way that doesn't rain ash all over the rest of Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. You can do it. I believe in you. I have faith, and you can do it. You can absolutely do it. I want to say special safe sailing out there to the folks from the USS Higgins. They're going to be taking off today. Oh, geez, did I have the wrong button pushed? I think I do. Oh, but woohoo! There we go. I want to say good morning to all of you who are out there who are watching us. But specifically, I want to say to the folks from the USS Higgins, they're going to make their way out of here this afternoon. So you might see a couple stragglers throughout the morning, but they're getting ready to get out of here and go off and do more Navy things. But in the meantime, we got to welcome them with the chamber. We got to welcome them with the VFW. We got to see them all around town. And it was pretty much incident-free for them. They got to really enjoy it, got to spend a lot of time with the captain, the XO, the Command Master Chief, and the crew. And they said they absolutely love Saipan. So Saipan, you did a great job for them. All the businesses, all the folks, they made a lot of friends out here. They went snorkeling, they went diving. They even went up to the go-karts up north. They hiked around, they swam around, they ate everywhere. They probably did a lot of stuff in Garapan too. And I definitely know that they made some restaurant and bar owners smile because they came in. And is that awesome? Yes, is the answer. It is awesome because whenever we get those folks coming in, one, I get to enjoy it, being a veteran myself and as the Armed Forces Committee Chair for the Chamber and also the a VFW member. We get to welcome these guys and we get to be ambassadors for our island. We get to be like the first faces they see when they come on island to feel welcome so that they can go off and tell people about coming back here. Really cool. Before I get too far down the tangent tree, I will go off on this branch. And this is, we got to meet with somebody who is one of the guys who is in charge of scheduling the ships and the training and everything. And he told us about how he ended up sending ships our way when he was sending people from the fleet level where to go and what ports to hit and about going to Saipan. And it started a couple of years ago. If you remember the John Finn when it came to port, he's like, you know what? John Finn needs a win. We're going to send it to Saipan and they're going to have a good time. Now, if you don't remember, John Finn was here. They participated in the parade and it was awesome. Now, that person who made that scheduling decision years ago that really started picking stuff up for our ship visits, this was his first time to come out here, and now he's got nothing but great stories to say when he gets back here. You know, it's funny, we also spoke with a lot of the officers during the welcome brief, and they said this was the most welcoming port that they've experienced, especially, but when they say that, you're like, oh, all right, so we're special. No, they named a whole bunch of specific things, and man, it's just great. So Saipan, you guys did great. You guys did great, and I love it. I can't wait. Good news is, we're not gonna have to wait too long before another one comes in. What are the details? You'll find out when you find out. I can't tell you. I don't have all of them, but they're coming. The good news is that we are going to have more ship visits in the near future, and that's kind of exciting for us. So it's our opportunity to shine again. Yes, that means we got to go out and force ourselves to eat a bunch of food and drink a few things with these guys. And while that is good, it's not great. It's tough to recover. Like all these nights in a row between their welcome reception the first night. And then I did it to myself with a little soccer, and then we had the Project Buddy Check group night, and then we had the VFW reception night. Oh man, I'm telling you, this is not a liver-friendly week for me. The Holy Week, the hole is in my liver if I keep hanging out with all these guys. I got to end up doing something about that. I know. The hole is in my fitness regime. You are absolutely correct. That's a great comment. Thank you, you bastard. All right. Now, let's get on and talk a little bit about how traffic looks. The good news is, for everybody out there, if you're worried about getting around town, this is the best time. Holy Week driving is not too bad. It's actually some of the best opportunities you have to get around because there's no school buses you have to worry about getting behind. So let's put the old share screen up here so you guys can see it too. Here comes Google Maps. Now you can see it. And that's how we end up bringing you the traffic too. We're able to see it. We don't have to sit at an intersection and just read it. We're actually able to show you all around the whole island in real time what traffic looks like, and it's pretty awesome. I absolutely love technology, and it's fun for us to be able to do this. And yes, I am tap dancing a little bit while I wait to click one more button, and there we go. Snap. There we go. All right, let's talk traffic, guys. This is what's going on out in front of the old AK intersection. Why does it look so good? Because they're done with it. They're not done with it, but they're done with it. I say they're not done with it because they're not done with the paving, but all of the concrete work that they did around that intersection is done. And tomorrow is the end of the project. There aren't any cones there, but there is a ski jump still when you're going south on Beach Road through that intersection with regards to the different level of pavement. You're definitely getting a bump over there when you cruise through. So they're not done with that yet. They're close. They're close. But there is no cigar yet for that. Anyway, that's not too bad. Let's look a little bit west or east of that, though, and take a look at the intersection that matters over where it's the home of where connections matter. IT&E. You can see it's slow as people are trying to get over there by the light. People are trying to come drive west and drive east. Nobody's driving south because you can't get past there. There's nobody coming from Olei over there. Texas Road comes pretty close. That's about as close as you're going to get. So there's a little bit of delay. You're going to have to wait just a little bit when you get to that intersection, but don't sweat it. You're going to regret it. All right, we're going to keep going down Beach Road, and Beach Road's looking good until you get all the way down to Susupi. That's a little hairy at that intersection. They need to fix, but they're almost there. Again, they are making their way methodically, though, and then it gets a little bit slow for folks trying to head north over by CK's post office, the best post office in the world. But look at Chalumpiao. Chalumpiao, I'm so proud of you. It's a lot because WSR is not open and Hopwood's not open, so that certainly helps. Let's go up by where people trying to make their way up the hill. A little bit slow. They're a little bit backed up, but it's not that bad. They're not even back to Uplock Drive, so they're pretty good. Let's go Chalmon Senior Martinez. It's looking all the way. It's looking quiet by the Nutrition Assistance Program. I know. All right. Anyway, over there by Shell Den, it's not bad at all. Everything is looking good. We're coming up Roses. Even San Vicente. Traffic, not even plenty. All right, we're going through Issa Drive, scooping around Cagman, looking good. It's looking good over in Azteo as well as we make our way around the Rodeo Drive of Saipan, the Capitol Hill Shopping District, Sarah Market, Capitol Hill Market, and Zenyu all looking pretty good. getting down to East Drive where it meets Chow and Polly Arnold, and over there by Ina's Kitchen, looking mighty fine as well. A little bit slow as people head north through Puerto Rico along Middle Road on their way to the Shell station, but that's actually not that bad. It's a little bit slow over there by the intersection at the Marianas Heights building. And again, not that bad. It looks like a couple people stuck at the light over there by the tennis courts. Other than that, not bad. And we're going to go do the parallel look. And Beach Road, Mill Road looking pretty good. It's a little bit of a congestion at a stoplight by Shirley's. Not too shabby. And other than that, until you get to the Gualo Rye light, everything is fine. And then what happens? I don't know. Something happens at Gualo Rye. People are stopped in every direction over there at the light, at the intersection in Gualo Rye. What's happening over there? Who knows? Maybe they're having a big sale at Pacific Hardware. It could be. Who knows? But it is a slow go over there right now in Gualo Rye. Let's head down. We're going to keep going. It slows down over there by McDonald's. People trying to head north on Beach Road or on Middle Road, getting past McDonald's. It is slow for sure. And it's getting slower, and you can see that line's getting longer, and that could be an indication of something not doing too well over there. So make your way slowly if you're when you're heading north on Middle Road. If you're coming past McDonald's, it's definitely something going on over there right now. So take it easy, take it slow. You're not going to win any races in Saipan. There's no election there. Don't worry, you don't have to be in a hurry. All right. Anyway, we got a great show for you today. Welcome. That's your first look at traffic, and let's get you your first look at the news. We're going to have our first guest coming in here in just a little bit. So let's get you the latest update from the Associated Press.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. In Southern California, a 5.2 magnitude earthquake. Julie Walker has a report.
Centered near the town of Julian. USGS seismologist Elizabeth Cochran in California says it was felt far and wide and rattled people, but there are no reports of major injuries.
I noticed the shaking, but it was not frightening. It was sort of a minor rocking of the building.
She says the earthquake was an aftershock from Sunday's 3.3 magnitude quake along the same Elsinore fault, but
the magnitude 5.2, now that it has occurred, we now call it the main shock because it's the largest earthquake, and we now call everything that happened yesterday foreshocks.
Cochran says to expect even more aftershocks. I'm Julie Walker.
A man who allegedly set fire to the Pennsylvania governor's mansion is being treated at a hospital after an unrelated medical event. Authorities say the man had planned to beat Governor Josh Shapiro with a small sledgehammer. Shapiro says,
I refuse to let anyone who had evil intentions like that stop me from doing the work that I love, stop me from being a leader of this Commonwealth and looking out for all Pennsylvanians.
President Trump hosted El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele at the White House today. Bukele was asked if he will release Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was wrongly deported to his country last month.
The question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
White House officials say Abrego Garcia is a citizen of El Salvador, and the U.S. has no say in his future, despite the Supreme Court calling for the Trump administration to facilitate his return. Stocks rallied worldwide today after President Trump relaxed some tariffs. The S&P and the Dow each gained about 0.8%. The Nasdaq 0.6. This is AP News. In golf, Rory McIlroy has joined some elite company. Gethin Coolbaugh explains.
It's a dream come true.
The world number 2 became the 6th player to complete the career Grand Slam of majors with a one-hole playoff victory over Justin Rose to win his first Masters.
There were points in my career where I didn't know if I would have this nice garment over my shoulders.
McIlroy lost 2 and 4-shot leads in the final round. Rose made a tying birdie putt on the 18th hole before McIlroy missed a winning par putt to drop to 11 under and force the sudden death playoff.
I certainly didn't make it easy. I was nervous. It was one of the toughest days I've ever had on the golf course.
McIlroy then hit a wedge into 4 feet for his eventual winning birdie putt on 18 after Rose missed a 15-foot birdie try that sealed his third second-place finish at the Masters. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
And I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
Paradise Dental's giving you the gas. Well, not that kind of gas. You already know that Paradise Dental has the most affordable coverage in the entire Marianas, and now we've got something special just for new customers. And now for a limited time, Paradise Dental is offering free gas vouchers for new signups for their coverage plan. If you sign up for a singles plan, you'll get a $10 gas voucher. If you sign up for a couples plan, that's a $15 gas voucher. And if you sign up for the whole family plan, that's a $20 gas voucher right after your first visit. So hurry down to Paradise Dental and sign up for the CNMI's most affordable dental coverage today. These gas vouchers are limited, and with smiles like these, you know they're gonna go fast.
Hi, I'm Shauna Brenfleck, nurse practitioner and owner of Island Skin Solutions and Wellness Clinic. We are Saipan's only medical spa offering a wide range of services to meet your unique skincare goals. We offer exclusive medical grade skincare products that can only be purchased from a licensed medical professional. We also have the CNMI's only master esthetician who offers new patient consultations that include a mini facial tailored to your needs. Schedule your consultation today to get started on your skincare journey.
Hey, I'm Coach Derek Cutting, the owner and founder of Laddie Built Fitness. So no matter who you talk to here at Laddie Built, everyone feels that they are part of a family, part of a group of like-minded people. No one feels judged. No one feels like they're being teased or picked on or looked down upon because maybe they don't know what they're doing. They could be brand new and have no idea what they're doing. They might be overweight or really skinny and feel very self-conscious about themselves. But at Laddie Built, nobody judges here. And if you ask anybody here that might be in better shape than you or even not, but has experience in the gym, they will gladly help you through a workout and nobody judges you a few techniques that can help you. So Laddie Built organically from day one, since the boot camp era, has organically grown this fostered environment of community and being a safe place, but a strong work ethic community of people that want to get work done. All I can say is that I put my heart and soul into it from day one. I treated everyone like that at the boot camp from the very, very beginnings, and everyone at the same time would treat each other like that from the boot camp era as well. And as we grew, as we got into a brick and mortar facility, we got bigger and bigger. I feel like people definitely just take this place as a home, as like their brother and sisters are working out next to them, not their enemy or not their competitor, you know? So organically, it's just the vibe here is different. Everyone feels very, very comfortable, and I love the fact that it happened like that.
PHI is your local pharmacy serving customers in Cagman, Garapan, and Dandan since 1996. Shop PHI Pharmacy for all your prescriptions, and we even offer a large line of multivitamin supplements. Our Dandan location is open weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 4 on weekends. Or visit our Garapan and Cagman locations weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 1 on Saturdays. Check us out online at phipharmacy.com or follow us on Facebook. PHI is a locally owned independent community Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care. All right, good morning, Marianas. It is 7:45, and we are coming back out of our commercial break, and just in time for our in-studio guest making his way back to the program. I'm so glad to have him in here to shed a little bit of light on what's going on here in the Marianas. What's happening? What are we doing? and what cool things are coming down the pipe, and why are we doing some of the things that we do? Well, you don't always get to that kind of info, but when you do, it's kind of nice to get it right from the source, and that's what we've got for you today. We've got Senator Manny Castro joining us in studio today, and this is really great. Want to say welcome. Oh no, hold on, he's there, I promise. I went to switch to him, and all of a sudden he wasn't there, but he's going to be there in just a second. Well, there he is, Manny Castro, the senator out of Precinct 2, and now covering all of Saipan. I want to say welcome to the show, Senator.
Good morning, Brad, and good morning, CNMI and world.
And the world. Yeah, you see, there's folks watching from all over. You got a lot of folks from here. Even Richard Lozama, he says he's watching and listening from Los Angeles, California right now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, good morning, Congressman.
And Senator, first of all, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the studio. You get to check us out over here and see what we've got going on. But we've been watching you and everything since you took office. I know you're going to get to talk about what you're doing, but what's that transition been like, going from being a representative for a precinct to making the jump and being a senator now?
So there's pros and cons. In fact, I always had my eye on the Senate just because of the challenges that we're dealing with right now. I feel like it's about government efficiency, and the benefit of being in the House is you get to appropriate money to the different agencies and programs. But if we have a government that's either bloated and bleeding a lot of revenue, then it's like we're running in circles. So that's the whole concept of why I always had my eye on the Senate, just because of its role in the government. Coming from a representative of Precinct 2, I just want to say thank you to our constituents in Precinct 2. We didn't get to accomplish everything that we wanted to, but we still have Congressman John Paul there, and also Congressman Danny Aquino, and I feel like they can also continue. That doesn't mean I'm going to be gone from Precinct 2. However, the scope is bigger. The benefit of being a congressman in Precinct 2 is we just help everybody. Mm-hmm. So despite representing Precinct 2, once you become a congressman or representative, you initiate change for the entire CNMI. So whenever we can, we help island-wide, CNMI-wide as well.
So, you did that. You made a big impact in Precinct 2. I remember you being there and doing a lot of stuff, and you won really convincingly, and I think that really helped carry you to get over the hump for your first senatorial campaign. And you said there were some things you weren't able to get to, but how hard is it to try to get everything done in 2 years? I mean, it seems like you got to come in with a whole bunch of momentum, and then all of a sudden it's campaign time again.
Yeah, and that was the main challenge. We couldn't have done what we were able to do if it wasn't for example, Congressman John Paul. A lot of the funds in Precinct 2, for himself and congressmen before him, they were able to set aside some funds to be able to do some of the things that were, in fact, when I said we weren't able to do everything, like the Potsu Park, Susupi Beach Park, there was we wanted to really level that out, and so the backfill is there, but finishing it is not done yet. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I had a local law to put sidewalks around WSR. We did work, kind of encourage CUC to fix a lot of the problems there. So, a lot of, when we came in, there were a lot of sewer issues because it's a really old system, but most of that's been mitigated and corrected. There's still work that needs to be done. The flooding issues in Susupi, which has been there forever, and also by WSR, that's been addressed. But I just want to Also give a shout out to DPW and the administration, CIP, everyone that's been involved in a lot of these infrastructure projects. A few days ago, I walked from CK to mobile gas station. I wanted to try out the sidewalks, and just picture if now this infrastructure is going to create a walking culture, which will help with healthcare and getting people. We just need to enhance it. Add more activities in between. And I know there's other agencies that are also working on federal projects to have those facilities along Beach Road.
Well, it's great so far. It's nice to see it. I'm not used to it either. It is nice to just see all those sidewalks and where everybody are getting out there. And where I really see it now is Garapan. With that part of the project, like those sidewalks are nice and they're massive, and you can see a lot. Now, with all those folks who were here that probably didn't have a lot of rental cars from the ships, they're walking around in Garapan. Yeah. But out here, and seeing it on both sides of the road too. I mean, it's really pretty good.
And I could say just walking on it and looking at it, you can tell where we need, we also need to look at our contractors, and because the consistency, some parts of the sidewalk are very smooth, the other parts are, I know they're still working on it, but that's another challenge that we have to deal with. And again, that's the role of the Senate to, I feel like, when it comes to government bids, we always go with the cheapest, and we're not looking at the quality sometimes, right? So our procurement regulations, we really need to take a look at that, because if we have, for example, a vendor that's been doing roads for years, and we know what we're gonna get, like a quality, finished product, then we need to also factor that into the bidding process, because time is money, and then we don't want to come back and fix the road again. So for example, in Precinct 2, when we were doing the scope of work to renovate a lot of the pavilions, in working with DPW, I talked to them and added things to the structure of the concrete picnic table. So it's like, can we put in some sealers, whether it's Silca or there's a specific thing that prevents the water from going into the concrete, right? Because what happens is we fix it, and then 2 years later it's rusted, everything starts falling apart. So hopefully I see that they did it, they made it a better product. So if we continue to do things like that, look at the long term, not just the short term.
Well, this project has definitely been long-term. Yeah. They've been doing it for, I think they started this when Governor Babalta was in office.
Yeah, that's a long one.
No, I know. It was, but this one has been a long one. And they still, even though like right outside here, it looks pretty good. They've got more work to do, even just up by the intersection where that the pavement drops off a little bit. And I think that it would be great if you had folks who kind of knew what they were doing and have done it before. So hopefully, with some of the things that you're going to do, that's going to help make that happen.
And a bigger discussion is we have to evolve, like our practices, right? Like, are we going to continue to paint the road markings manually, or are we going to get the equipment that can do it automated, and you just need like two operators and drive it? Like. Maintenance is, we should be looking at getting those street sweepers. Yeah. We're not going to be blowing this whole 8 miles like with a blower. Like, that's inefficient. So those are the things that being in the Senate, you get to, help appoint people that are the right fit for the specific department. And, it's a team effort, so if your team is not aligned, that's going to be a problem, right? But
that's got to be interesting too, because going from the Senate or go from the House, you were part of the whole majority, if you will, right? Yeah. And you guys all came in with like a kind of a joint mission, and one of the things that helps is that you guys working together, like you said, being together on all those things. You come into the Senate, and it's a little different organization where there's a smaller number of folks.
Yes.
And there's folks who have been there for a long time and folks who might not be, if you just look on the party side, right? It's
Yeah.
a different party. But what I thought was pretty neat, you're coming in and you're just a relationship builder. And you're out there and you can't just be at odds with everybody. You're able to just have those conversations and find out how you're able to work together. And I can see that that's happening.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we report to the people, right? And sometimes a lot of the things, great legislations comes out of bipartisan support. You're able to put your differences aside and really look at what's the end goal here, right? So, for example, in the cases of some of the things, for example, the Senate president, even though I'm on the minority, he's in the majority. Some of the things that they're doing, I align with, meaning because it just makes sense, right? Like I ran on a platform about kind of keeping the government in check and within its means and more of like building our asset column, investing in our infrastructure, so we don't have to keep putting our money into liabilities and expenses. So, for example, what does that mean? Like, right now, everybody still buys 5 gallons of water from Saipan Ice and Star Water. If we fix that problem, you can save each household $200 a month in water, right? Expenses. So even if their median household income is like $20,000, now you just use government resources to help impact their take-home pay, which in turn helps the businesses because now they have more discretionary income to shop for clothes, and our people are really suffering. So we need to really, set the pride aside and get to work and really look at. And there's a lot of things happening in the world, in the national government, that we need to align with. So what does that mean? Do we really want to keep seeing our people do medical referral bingo fundraisers? That thing just happened in recent years. We never had that kind of issue where our government resources were so low that people had to go and fundraise for medical referral, right? So I tried to look at what's the root cause of the problem. The root cause is because our GDP sucks. Now, the government can can't afford to do the things that we used to be able to do, right? So in terms of what's happening on the international and national scene, tariffs is a big topic, right? We have to really look at what's the reason behind it and how does that benefit the CNMI. The whole reason why we had so many garment factories here was because of tariffs. So actually what's happening nationally, it can benefit the CNMI a lot because, one, we don't have the Jones Act. We have a Jones Act waiver, which supply chain, it benefits the manufacturers, meaning ships can come straight from Asia to the CNMI versus places like Hawaii, the ships have to go to LA first or the mainland, major port of entry, then go to Hawaii.
And they got to swap ships, right? They have to take the stuff off the foreign vessel to a U.S. vessel to get to the U.S. port.
And then, so I was meeting with one of the, I was shopping at a grocery store, and one of the owner was actually like, man, all these tariffs are really going to affect the prices. I was like, not necessarily. Because if you look at a lot of our products, they come from Asia. Where it's going to hurt is the products that come from the U.S. that come from Mexico, like for example, your peaches, your plums. If you look at the tag, it says like Chile, or the avocados. If it's a Hass avocado, it comes from Mexico. Those are the ones but our people don't really purchase those things here, right? And we have avocados locally that are available. And in fact, some of the mandarins and the dragon fruits, and they're coming from Asia. So those items, the price should still be the same, but it's important that commerce maybe make sure that the wholesalers are not just using that as, hey, the tariffs, so we have to jack up the price, when the source of that product coming in is not from the U.S. mainland, like going through the U.S. mainland. So U.S. products, no tariffs because we're part of the U.S. Foreign products that come directly to the CNMI, again, we control that. So
you made a great point. You alluded to something earlier about, and this is such great forward thinking about taking advantage, really, of whatever the situation is. We can't necessarily tell the President of the United States what to do, right?
Yeah.
Or make them make policy. If they include us in on it, great. But seeing what's there, right? You're saying that like one of the reasons we had the garment industry, this massive industry that kept us going for a long time, was because of those tariffs. And now if they're coming back,
so what killed the garment industry, right? Like that's the question. What killed it here? A lot of people think it was the labor abuses and alleged labor abuses, and some of it did happen. But then again, that happens in California. Why was an immigration law created to take care of a labor issue? It should have been a labor law, right?
We are so on the same page on
But
this.
George Miller represents California. California is the main competitor to the CNMI garment industry. So basically, our garment industries here, we're killing it. When I was in the States, I would go to the mall because I was going to college and high school, and Abercrombie, Ann Taylor Loft, all these other brands, Polo, Old Navy, they were all made in the Northern Marianas when you look at the tag. And that's not just Oregon. That's, when I went to DC, it was the same thing. So it was, okay, so question like, do we want that back, right? I think we have to be smart about what type of industry we come in. Nowadays, a lot of the textile industry is, especially like in Asia, some of it is all automated. The machines are just running 24/7. So that helps with our CW problem, right? So we have to really look at what industry makes sense for our area. We don't want to overburden our infrastructure. We don't want to, damage our environment. So high output, like something that's high output but requires minimal resources.
I could see that being a big key. So now, if we did get, what are the other benefits of the garment industry? I know we're not talking specifically about the garment industry, but one of the other benefits of garment industry is that we had something to export. So the shipping to Saipan was cheaper because it wasn't just we have to import everything. We also got to export all that stuff out. And so the way the shipping works is that they calculate all that stuff. If there's only a one way for them to make them profit, all that profit has to come from the one way it's coming from.
So that's why we need these types of industry, right? Because it helps. Like the containers are coming into Saipan full of raw materials, and then they're exiting Saipan, going to the U.S. mainland mostly with the finished product. So in turn, that, for those of you that drink like Coke or something that comes from the mainland or things that come from Asia, basically the consumers of the United States mainland are paying for our shipping. Like that's, and that's what you want. You want the bigger market. Same thing with, if you look at which industries have the highest gross profit margin, and it's like internet based, right? So what can we do here that, because it's a lot of logistics to bring in tourists from a foreign country here. I'm not saying let's abandon tourism. I think that we keep tourism, but add on, fix our infrastructure, improve our amenities, improve our product, and then at the same time, what related diversification, what can be done? Like when I say related diversification, it's like educational tourism, sports tourism. We have golfers coming in here all the time. We need to fix our fields. We can remember when the LG twins, I believe, would train here, but to get those kind of caliber of people to get here, we have to put some money in the field, right? And the amenities, like, so that, because we have competitors. They can easily go to other Southeast Asian countries that have the infrastructure to improve their product.
And that could be a big push for us. So, like, I remember it was like when I first got here, we were at the tail end of the Japanese baseball teams coming in.
Yeah.
And then it turned into the Korean teams that were coming in. And that just dropped off the map. Like, we just didn't have them. I think the YouTube really was a massive impact because our field was just totally trashed and, destroyed. But now that we got revamped a little bit after during the games, I think that's not a bad spot. But we also had that spot up north in Marpi.
Yes.
And that was the other field. So we could have two teams here at the same time. You got properties that are open right there, so they don't have to drive the whole island. They can all stay over there. So, that would be awesome.
And, at the same time, that kind of exposure also improves the access to our local residents as well. Like, a big shout out to, Jerry Tan and the Tan Holdings and everyone involved in getting our soccer or football programs set up here, because you see, when you really invest in certain programs and you invest in the infrastructure, you see the return, and that's a great example. So let's replicate that across all sports. And so again, that helps with tourism as well.
Well, one of the things I love the best, what you were saying, is about not making it a one thing. Like, just keep adding to what we got. You're not replacing an industry by bringing something else in. You're just adding to our portfolio of revenue generating industries. And I hear it a lot, especially when I hear people talk about, like, the military. Where they're like, the military is not going to replace, there's not enough numbers coming from the military. We have to focus on something else. Well, nobody said that military tourism or the military folks coming in was going to replace the economic impact of, like, losing 50% of your tourism industry. Just need to add more things to it. And we should
diversify. So, for example, infrastructure, again, if we had a roll-on, roll-off ferry, like that linked Guam to us, so people could just drive their cars. Even Tinian, vice versa. You have that domestic island, inter-island economy, right? So, the stevedore companies might not be so happy, but we have to think bigger. Like, maybe the stevedore company, we can invest in them and buy ships, right?
You got a good point about the stevedore company, but for one, in Tinian, it's different because I think most of it's from smaller stuff, right? So I don't know that it would really devastate anybody there, but I think that the overall economic impact would be so much bigger. It would definitely help the whole island universally, right? When it comes to getting vehicles, getting jobs, getting goods and everything. But the biggest impact, I think, if they can bridge that gap, is Rota and Guam.
Yes.
I was speaking with all these sailors that are here from the ship when we welcomed them in, and we were talking about, just regular, those guys aren't in Guam, right? They're just regular sailors all around the world and all that stuff. But just getting to that baseline military perspective, imagine, they said, well, have you guys considered a ferry? Out of the blue, they said that, between Guam and Rota. He's like, man, people would hop on that thing, like your regular everyday person would hop in their car. Hey, you guys want to go to Rota this weekend? Yeah, let's do it. And bam. Imagine being able to take the ride over to Guam, go and buy a car, and drive it back, as opposed to, what do they spend an extra $5,000 or something to ship it from here? And in a place where the economy's, we're fortunate to live in Saipan as opposed to Rota. There's positives and negatives, right? But that spending an extra $5,000 to get just a car from Saipan to Rota is just crippling.
Not only that, think about the medical referral expenses.
Oh, yes.
Right? So when we look at issues, we have to put ourselves in the person's situation and try to think from that perspective. When we're going to try and find a solution, right? Hear them out as much as possible. But it's, a lot of people have to move here. If they have medical issues, they have to move to Saipan. And likewise, people in Saipan that have bigger issues have to go off island. And those are I feel like we need to target those root cause and root problems. So even, all these land leases, we had so many investors coming in, right? Coming into the CNMI over the years, but we still have the same problems. Especially when it comes to our, let's say our Northern Marianas descent population. The whole concept of why Article 12 was put into place, why we have the Marianas Public Land Trust it's supposed to build a safety net that helps people get out of poverty and a better life. And so investments like purchasing a hotel in California, because a lot of medical referral patients go there, purchasing a hotel in Philippines and having it operate like a semi, a public-private partnership. Like it's for the first 5 floors are medical referral, then the floors above that are actual hotel, like bringing in cash flow. So again, like the concept of building up the assets so that it can pay for the liabilities. I mean, I wish I could really do that on my personal level, but for some reason, I'm just better at doing that as a public servant, helping the government generate revenue. I mean, at the college, I was the enrollment manager, so like that's what we would do. We would build up things and have it pay for itself, like whether it's a program and I feel like that's, if we invest our money in the right programs and infrastructure, it's going to work out.
Just another one of the reasons why I love having you up there. It's great to see that. I never thought that this was going to be your life, because you did such a great job when you were over at the college, and but getting into politics, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to support you no matter what, because I know that you're excited about stuff and you come at it with a real rational approach to everything. But now just seeing you kind of grow into this and really evolve throughout the process, it's kind of inspiring. I bet I'm glad to have you on the show so other folks can kind of see this. By the way, people are loving you in the comments all over the place. A lot of your ideas and all the things that you're talking about seem to be smart things. Real quick, you mentioned the college. What do you think of that new student center coming along? I mean,
so first of all, I want to give some props to Frankie, Vice President Frankie Liptico. At that time, he was our interim president, and he was really pushing for that building and pushing for a new campus. I was more on the like to say, hey, let's just fix our existing buildings because it's gonna, we can just. I like to, I don't like damaging things if we can reuse it and build up from it. But Frankie was just like, no, we need a new building. So, without that decision and really pushing forward, we used to tease him like VP Frankie, like IP Frankie at that time. It's like, because he can be a diva. Like, I mean, he can put divas to shame. Like, I mean, I don't know if he likes me saying that in public, but he was very, he had this vision to, like, we deserve a new building. And I know former presidents wanted the same thing as well. But it actually happened. It was like a blessing in disguise. Thank you, Uncle Sam, for all the funding to build it. But this is an example, right? It's investing in a strong, like a new building, so we don't have to come to that problem again. But when I was the enrollment manager at NMC, I was like, man, we should have had dorms. We're a community college, but if we had dorms, then the operations will still continue because everything is in the facility. Meaning we won't have to worry about our students out there that are living in tents or don't have a house or are living at Aquarius. Like, if we had actual student dorms, everything, it's like no stress for our students, right?
Well, and it could be a really cool way to get educational tourism where you get people that come to the CNMI that can stay at the dorms right there.
So part of the reason why some of the things that were frustrating when I was, keep in mind my job at NMC at that time, it was tied to accreditation, meaning like our accrediting officers were like, if you don't hire this position, we will sanction you further.
Wow, yeah.
So it was a very important position. I was the first and last person to have that job. It was like an enrollment manager. You're in charge for the marketing, recruitment, retention of the college, right? And we went from 700 students at a time of show cause to 1,000, over 1,000, 1,002, like, which is kind of like unheard of in the enrollment management space. And every major disaster like Sodalore, U2, the pandemic, our numbers went up. Mm-hmm. Which is like, even our consultants from the States were like, what's wrong with you guys? How is this possible? Like, but you know, it's really having that, customer experience, kind of putting policies in place that look at the customer experience, not customer service, because customer service, like, oh, I'm sorry, we messed up. Here's a gift certificate. Customer experience is like, you know your customer, you know your the product you provide. So it's like, hey, Mr. Rosala, we have your coffee ready for you, black, and whatever your preference is, like the business or the agency already knows it. Mm-hmm. So kind of operate it like that. So that's why I introduced things like the zoning bill to suspend zoning, because I feel like we're not really looking at the process. So if, think about it now, did we have the zoning law in place when our GDP was at its highest? No, we did not, mm-hmm. Right? I support a clean environment, I support safety, but we gotta look at the intent of things. And is this hurting us, right? Is it fair? So what do I mean is it fair? Basically, the regulations can be variable, and it's not aligned with the law. And in essence, you've killed the property value for certain zones. So some families got it good, other families, tough luck.
Can we talk about this a little bit?
Yeah.
So I went to the zoning meeting, and I am a big fan of smaller government and, try to let people do it. And I listened to Therese Ogumuro, and she was talking about what it was. I heard the whole presentation. We streamed it. We did all that stuff. So basically, here's the way I understand it. If they determine that your property is blighted, that they give you X amount of time to do something about it. And then if you can't do something about it, they do something about it, and then they make you have to pay for it. And if you can't pay for it in so much time, then there's interest that's put on it. But they never actually take anything from you.
Yeah.
But so now I understood that, because I never liked the idea of government taking anything from anybody.
Yeah.
So I have friends that I'm sure we're both friends with message me like, this is terrible. How are they going to, charge people or fine people for stuff when it's like the worst economy and everything right now, when we can't even afford it? Why would they do this to us now? So I'm like, holy cow, what's going on? Why is this happening? Now, here's the other side of it, though. Mm-hmm. I've seen some real progress because of this.
Yes.
I've seen those signs go up, and I really wasn't paying attention to them before. When I see a zoning sign, and if I'm not aware of what's going on, then it's just one of those things that just fades in. But then when I found out what was happening, like, it's not like they're talking about like there's going to be a public hearing to rezone or something. It's like they put it by like by over there by Shell Dandan. There was that old movie, the
bowling alley.
No, by Shell Dandan, it was the movie station, I think.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Right. That thing looked terrible for years, right? Mm-hmm. After, and the storm made it worse. Then the front of it collapsed and everything. And they got one of those blight notices, and it said, hey, if you don't do something about it, we're going to do something about it. And that thing, they ended up not getting any fines because they took care of them. Like, wow.
Right.
That little, and now in Garapan also, I'm only talking about, they probably have a lot more successes, but at least, but in Garapan, one of the things I was talking about on the show for a long time is that little drinky bar that was there across from Crown Plaza. That was really just a wooden framed building that had been there since I got here, and it's been closed for years. And in the heart of our tourism district, right across from our supposedly highest end international brand Crown Plaza, is this little ratty looking thing that our tourists, it's the first thing they see when they come out. Yesterday I went down there to drop off my daughter for the soccer camp. It's gone.
It's clean.
Right? And then the other one is, which this is a real safety issue, is that old CNMI wax museum that's right there, again, in the heart of the tourist district, where parts of this building have literally fallen off into that parking lot that's right out in front. And if the folks had have been looking up at that building, it would have fallen on them. And there's more of it, and you could see right through it. Again, in the heart of our tourism district, where folks are, we just did all the streets, the new lighting is coming in, and we're trying to have this be our first facing, look forward for all of these tourists. And we got this stuff. It seems like to me that this is a motivating factor to get people going to do something about those blighted properties. And if they're not taking the land away from folks, but they are placing like a lien on them to pay for it if they can't pay for it, my gut feeling is that it's a good thing for the Commonwealth that somebody is holding somebody accountable for the state of their property. I'm not talking about somebody who's like got a farm in Dandan or something like that, but like at least in that our front facing spots, like in that, it seems like it's a good thing that they're doing that. And the other part was, I know I'm giving you a whole lot before I even give you a chance here, but the other part is talking with Ms. Ogumuro was that she said that really they just want people to work with them, that they're not coming in like a wrecking ball, that as long as people work with them, they'll come up with something to make it easy for them to do all that stuff. They're still going to have to pay if they can't pay for it, but they'll work out some kind of arrangement so that the actual issue itself can get fixed, meaning like that place that's run down just won't be run down there, or the place that's decaying and becoming a safety issue won't be a safety issue. I know when I listen to their presentation, there is a potential for some serious overreach on that, right? But it seemed like we're finally getting some movement.
So, and the question there, and, I'm not against the zoning staff. I'm not against the zoning board. What I am against is the process. And, the challenge we have in government is nobody really looks at it from the stakeholder side and really evaluate it. So what do I mean by that? Like, we keep doing POs, for example, government POs. It's supposed to be something like charging at 30, we pay you in 30 days. The vendor provides the service, then we pay you. But you have a lot of businesses that are like, they keep going back up to Treasury waiting for their check. 2 years later, they're still waiting for their check. But, we're not. Why is that? We need to look at the process, what's holding it back, and solve it. In the case of zoning, those issues that you mentioned, is that really a zoning issue, or is that a building code and safety? Is it a sanitation issue? So I feel like some of those concerns that were mentioned are more sanitation and safety, which is DPW and public health related. What is the intent of the Saipan zoning law? And because I read some of the comments that were provided, and as a former director, as a former manager, when we get a complaint from stakeholders, we really need to sit down, put our pride aside and really try to understand the issue. Don't get, we're not supposed to get defensive and say, that's not how it's supposed to work. We need to be professional about the issue. And the whole concept between the suspension was not to say abolish it, fire the staff and all of that. It was, hey, let's put a pause on this and reevaluate what's the actual intent. When the lawmakers that created this law, what was the intent? Because I doubt the intent was to start taking away property. I doubt the intent was to encroach onto property rights. I doubt the intent was to encroach on other agencies' responsibilities, right? And with zoning office, how the question is like, okay, you're following this, but if you're getting a lawsuit, if for example, there was one business that sued zoning because and they won. Are we gonna keep paying for a department's issue? Because when someone sues the government, all of us end up paying for it, right? And there's certain agencies that keep getting lawsuits, and it's like, if this was a business and that happened, you'll be fired. And I'm not saying that needs to happen, but when I read some of the comments about, our signage permits takes 1 to 3 days. There's businesses out here that still don't have signs up because they're waiting for zoning to give them the permit for their sign. A sign is really important to get customers. A sign is your brand, so things you have to think from. So my fear is that you have investors coming in and they get turned away because the process just takes so long. And it's not just zoning exclusively, it can be other agencies.
It sounds like you're giving me a whole new frame of thinking about this, Senator Castro. Yeah, all right, so this is a good thing. So what you're saying is, if I get this right, I'm trying to summarize a little bit. If zoning did what zoning's supposed to stick to, it might not be an issue. So they were focused on those signs. That stuff gets done. And if it was public works and public health to take care of this other issue, the blighted stuff, then maybe everybody's handling. Yeah.
So that's, again, I'm not against the staff. And if I was, I would be like, let's just do a referendum and get rid of the law. But what I am for is, if we can't even cite the regulation or the law that created us, then there's a problem there. And too often that happens in every agency. They would issue a citation and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you have to pay this. Why? Why do I have to pay this? Can you show me the regulation that says that? No, you just have to pay it, right? You have to fill out this form. Why? We cannot just be variable and deciding today I'm going to give you this citation or today this is the rules. And too often, the policies that we have that agencies put in place contradicts the law that created that agency. Same thing with CUC. There was a lot of net metering and things that were supposed to help push CUC to be more financially sound and invest in infrastructure. There was set aside money. I think part of the FAC is supposed to go into investing into better, engines but no, so there's a lot of things happening and we really need to ask ourselves,
why are we doing what we're doing?
Why are we making it harder for our people that we're supposed to serve? When you're giving out free, there was the
fans or the rice.
At one point I remember, you have to bring a copy of your ID, a copy of this, a copy of that. It's like, how many people have copy machines, right? we need to think about that process. Just show your ID. Okay. Sign the affidavit. Good. Right? Like, and that's, you know, honestly, my success at NMC, that's how we operated. Like, when I came in, I was like telling my staff, like, it's not the student's job to route all this paperwork. That's our job. They just submit the application and we walk to the agencies and do it for them. Like, and that's, look at how this thing is operating. You need this, you want to start a business, you drive to zoning, then you have to go to tax and rev, then pay at the cashier. If it's a LLC, you go up to commerce, submit your articles of incorporation, but you cannot pay at commerce. You have to go to the treasurer, and like, it's insane. It shouldn't have to be this way. And the challenge with that is now all these duplications and extra processes cost the government more. If we really fix that process, all that savings could have gone to a program like medical referral or somewhere else.
Anywhere. I love the idea of get more efficient. My wheels started turning when you mentioned CUC and inefficiencies and all that stuff.
But we have great people, Brad. I'm telling you, we are so lucky. Like, when I visited the power plant, I met with the machinists, and you know, my undergrad was manufacturing engineering. So I know manufacturing engineering. Like, I'm not the expert, but I know enough to say that the people that we have working at CUC, especially at the power plant, we're lucky.
Oh.
Because, you know, these machines are old and they're able to machine the parts
right there
here on the island. And we don't even have a lot of the raw materials here. So it's that kind of leadership and management that we need all around in our agencies. And, you know, we need to, like, this politics stuff of just putting anyone because they helped us in the campaign. I mean, even the way I operate my office, you know, I think my personnel expense is really low because I have mostly part-time employees. And some people would criticize me, why are you hiring someone that when they have a full-time job somewhere else and you're hiring them part-time in your office? Like, one, I need to reduce my personnel expense so that more of my office funds can go out to build things that we need for our community. Two, if our budget goes down, it's easier for me to let go of someone that already has a full-time job. It won't be on, you know, I won't feel that, you know, like, but at the same, so I'm thinking of the person as well. I'm thinking of down the line, like, because to be honest, like, with all the revenue, like, there's nothing really happening here. Like, I'm concerned, like, where are we getting our money to operate, right? I know there's money there, like, maybe after all the reconciliation, it's there, but, and that's why I'm talking about, like, you know, the things with the tariffs. Like, we need our people to go out and say, visit a lot of these manufacturers in Asia, like Commerce and even the governor. I know the governor's been meeting with different people, and I know, like, companies like Toyota have been here to really evaluate it. On the media, he mentioned Mazda. So while the interest is there, we need to seize it.
Yep.
But let's learn from our mistakes, right? How so? It's like involve some of the mainland big corporations. So, for example, if let's say Microchip, a semiconductor in a company in the U.S., you know, gets its parts from China or Taiwan, have them do a joint venture here. So it's an American company partnered with a foreign company producing parts in Saipan.
Can you imagine, you know, with everything that's going on right now with the cross-strait relations between Taiwan and China, anything could happen if things kick off over there, right? So if we ended up having manufacturing in here or somewhere in the mainland, we don't have to worry about losing that precious resource.
and this is why history is also important. Like, I didn't major in history. I should have, but I majored in business, right? But I love history. So things like even the Great Depression, what caused that, right? And what did the U.S. government do after the Great Depression to get out of that economic recession? They invested in infrastructure. They invested in roads, dams. So a lot of those dams that were made back then are powering America today, right? And how much savings did that generate for the nation and also revenue for the economy? So we need to learn from those things and also learn here, like, how everything connects to each other and seize it. Because, if we miss the boat, we miss the boat.
This is our opportunity. We should be capitalizing on this. And but I think one of the smart things you're doing is keeping a keen eye to everything that's happening around us instead of just being focused on what we've got on the ground here.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears a little bit. I still want to say this one thing about the CUC thing. We were talking about, like, you can't pay here, you have to go here. Now, you weren't talking about CUC for that. You were talking about if you got an LLC and all that. But we just moved. We moved from one house to the other, and so when we went to do all that paperwork at CUC, I had all the info, my account number, and everything. And on the form, she asked me for the meter number, and that we couldn't proceed unless I provide her with the meter number. I'm like, but you have my account number, right? And you're able to see what the meter number is, right? She's like, yeah. But I need to get it confirmed by you. I'm like, but you don't have to confirm it for me to bill me every month. So I have to go back to the old house and take a look. And now, again, she was the best. The young woman who I was dealing with, she was outstanding. But she's like, that's a control to make sure, I guess, that they don't make a mistake. So I can see how that makes sense. But if you're able to bill that same account and you're getting payments for that account every time, just disconnect that same meter number. There's only one. I don't have multiple meters at the house, just that one. And just couldn't do it. So it took me an extra trip to go back and come back. So
you're going to hate this, but the technology is already there. It's a smart meter. In essence, CUC should have a control room that
just switch it
you
off.
Don't even need the meter reader anymore because it's a smart meter. So it's supposed to be feeding that information to the central office. I don't even work in CUC, but I met with people in that space. I really want to thank the grants office because in my first term in precinct 2, they sent me to this climate change and infrastructure workshop in Hawaii. And I was able to meet with key people. I met with Hank Rogers, some multimillionaire that did, owns the rights to Tetris and and is big on the renewable energy space. I met with Governor Green, Senator Chris Lee. So these individuals were very involved in the getting Hawaii to be, more energy efficient in terms of renewables. And it wasn't just about the environment, it was about the economic aspect of it. Because Hawaii has the same problem. They're importing all the fuel to run their power plants, right? So even the cost of energy there is expensive. So our big challenge, so kind of my focus in the Senate right now is trying to demonstrate, I feel like not only demonstrate to our people, but demonstrate to my colleagues, having that good working relationship and giving those connections to some of my colleagues. It's like, hey, you need to meet with this person. You need to meet with this person from the Green Bank to see how, because like Hawaii is very interesting. What they did is like for example, here at CUC, we have the FAC, right?
Right.
What Hawaii did is they kind of like that extra fee, they used that to put into renewable investments. So basically, they combined it with other federal programs. So most of if you wanted to install 100% like solar panels on your house and battery storage, it was all paid for pretty much. And if you didn't qualify for that program, there's a lot of rebates. So, you know, Hawaii, being more energy efficient and saving a lot of money, it didn't happen with big government infrastructure projects. It was mostly with every resident having access to capital to invest in their home. Mm-hmm. And that actually was proven to be more efficient in you know, having like microgrids throughout. So like kind of the channel that I'm trying to focus on is giving more power to our people and trying to do legislation that kind of gives them more access to resources to not rely on the government so much, because that's our problem.
Well,
like,
you know,
we rely on the government too much, and it should be like we should give that control to our people. It's faster to give 300 homes solar panels and battery storage than for us to wait for a centralized solar farm.
I agree, and that would be definitely helpful. We put the impact right away. And I'll tell you, I've got a lot of friends who are switching off CUC.
Yeah.
And again, that's not a negative thing to CUC, but because
they need control.
And it's such a better deal. They're telling me about what, you know, their initial cost up front is a little heavy, but then what they're paying for power is hardly anything anymore. And their battery storage is outstanding, and they're good to go. And these are, the thing is though, this is the funny thing is, the people who can afford most to pay for this, they're the ones who get that benefit. The people who are, you know,
need it the most.
They're being smothered by the cost of the utilities. They're the ones who could really benefit from it, but they can't get the benefit because in some instances, their houses really can't handle it, right? Because it's not like a concrete house.
Yeah.
And then you have to, and then you also can't pay for the initial laydown for the infrastructure for it, for the panels and the battery storage.
So I see that every day. So for example, Capitol Hill, I see all those houses that are used for government offices. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, we have a lot of residents that are renting apartments. So, you know, why don't the government invest in a centralized government building, maybe in Precinct 2, because everything's already there, like with the court, build one building up, and then give out those houses to at-risk, you know, the elderly, or, you know, because they're homes, they're designed for residences, not for us to be driving around like all these, but I don't know, that's just a thought.
All right, I want to get to what you've got going in the for like pieces of legislation and stuff. But here's a question that goes around to people all the time, and it is, how did Lower Mija go from totally vacant and nobody can get there to all of a sudden it is now? It seems like it's almost exclusively all these Chinese businesses or people running this stuff down there. Do you know what happened, or what was the holdup? Why people couldn't get those houses and all of a sudden now they can?
So I don't have direct information on that. I have indirect information. I remember, like, because at the time I remember Governor Fritio was in office, and the goal was to kind of, there was an investor that wanted to invest in that area, right? And later on you started seeing people being moved out because there's a project that's supposed to happen there. But then it never happened, and the buildings got dilapidated, and then somehow NMHC issued out this kind of like interesting bid, and it was like, if you get this place, you have to fix it. They can kick you out anytime. But yeah, like I was wondering the same thing. It's like, can you imagine if we put like our kind of like, we expanded the hospital, and like Upper Mija had the hospital annex Upper Mija, and now you have additional, like each house becomes a hospital room or a hospice for the elderly that are coming in and out, the mothers that are, you know, and then you have a control room that the nurses and the doctors kind of like just go out in a golf cart and check each it's like, when people get sick, it's packed in there. But can you imagine if each house was a part of the hospital? It's like thinking outside of the box. Like, maybe people might get better because they don't feel like they're gonna die in a hospital, like with no windows. Like, like there's like, oh, they're comfortable, and just the mental health is a lot better. So, and then all the people in Upper Miha move them down to Lower Miha. Like,
well, I definitely know some people who wouldn't love it. Like the people who have the really nicer, like the people who really fixed up their houses. Like there's a nice part over there.
Oh
right?
yeah, that's private.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm not talking about those ones.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Hey, so let's shake it up a little bit. We've been going kind of nonstop for a while, and it's great. I don't have to keep you all day, but can you tell us about some of the things you're working on that you're really excited about?
So the main thing is, I haven't introduced any bills related to what I'm working on, because right now what I'm working on is getting more buy-in. Mm-hmm. Right? To pass a bill, you need to get everyone on the same page. So I feel like that's a bigger, I need to put more work into that to get people to see what I've seen. And that's in the plan during the summer. I made some connections with key people in renewable energy, and they're going to be linking up some of our Senate leadership to do that. But a lot of the bills that I've kind of reintroduced are bills that I didn't have time to do in the House. The Fire Reserve Corps, which is like, our overtime expense for police officers and firefighters is a lot. And one way to mitigate that cost and also increase reach is to have a reserve corps. I mean, just like the military, they have the reserves, and when there's a natural disaster or you activate the reserve. So someone like yourself doing this full time, and then you go to the academy part time. When we need you, we can call you, and especially I know your prior service, right? So
that's right.
So, you have all that training already. It's just adding on to that, and it gives you extra income, but at the same time, an ability to help the Commonwealth when needed. So, Police and Fire Reserve, one of my grandfather's bill, like my grandfather introduced the Recycling Act of 1999. Nothing really happened with it. It was a very forward-thinking bill, and it was to implement advanced disposal fees, meaning like you see litter everywhere.
Is this a deposit?
It's beyond that, actually. It's a deposit, but not just for bottles and cans. It's for everything, tires. And so instead of taxing people at the port and then giving the money to wherever and say, hey, pick up the trash, what you do is you take an advanced disposal fee. So let's say it's a tire. You tack on $1 for that tire. It goes into a special fund. Then basically, let's say the tire gets thrown in the jungle. Somebody brings that tire to the recycling center. They get 50 cents back. So what are you doing? You're not taxing the people that weren't responsible for the litter. You are incentivizing the people that are
gonna take it back. That's such a great idea. Just something similar to that. I don't know. I'm right here on the beach, right? So we get to see all this, but I routinely see people go through the trash cans to get the cans out, so that they can do it for those the
555 program.
Yes, that was such a big deal.
So when I was in the House, I actually introduced that a bottle bill, which is coming from Oregon. Like I went to school here in Saipan, Sister Medio, San Vicente, Hopwood, but for high school, I went to school in Gresham, Oregon. Right, and I went to college in Oregon and all of that. And Oregon was one of the first states Oregon was the first state to have the recycling for the cans and bottles, glass, everything deposit. So pretty much the state of Oregon was the pioneer for that program, and almost every state has that. Even the Republic of Palau has recycling bill. So you have people in the community like that were saying, oh, we cannot put 5 cents on this, it's going to be so hard for the manufacturers. Like, I mean, we don't need to do that. Like, you could just put it in a label. But the 555 program, thank you to the grants office, Mr. Epi Cabrera and your team, they proved that it can work. So the goal was to get that legislation passed so it can be a permanent program. See, that's the things we have to, like, the challenge here is we have this culture of like, okay, let's get a grant and let's just rely on this grant. But what you do is get the grant, and if the program works, then find a way to continue that program via local funds or CNMI funds.
Man, there's some good questions coming in from a lot of comments, a lot of people commenting about the stuff that you're talking about. This one was a great question from Frank. Says, is there a way to access all the new laws passed on the legislature website?
Yes. So not just the legislature website, but the CNMI Law Revision Commission. I believe it's cnmilaw.org. That's a really good resource because it has all the codified, it has the laws like from beginning to end.
We actually have a call coming in right now. Let's find out what we got. Hold on one second. Hafidades on Tiro, thanks for calling the show. Who's this?
Hi, I have a question for Senator Manny.
Yeah, can you give me one quick second? Hold on, Manny. Senator, this is going to be a question to you, but I heard my speaker turn off. So I'm going to put you on the main screen, and people are going to see me walk behind you while I go turn it back on. So you can hear. So sit tight on the phone 1 second. One of the fun parts, I should just have it closer to me, so I don't have to walk back over here. All right, now, that's how you know we're live, in case you didn't before. All right, hold on 1 sec. We'll see if I can't get you on here. I'll find out on the speaker here. And now I know for sure that you're there. All right, hey, caller, go ahead. You tell everybody who you are, and go ahead with your question.
Good morning, Senator Manny Castro, the man of the game plan. This is Mr. Pedro Joaquin Tudela. I have a question for you, Senator. With our economy looking like this, is there any other ways where you could push and fight for us local car clubs on Saipan to open a drag strip? That will bring a lot of money to the island of Saipan. It will reduce legal drags on the roads. It will reduce death in the roads and a lot of crimes. Please help us, Senator, with our local club here on Saipan. We need a drag strip. Thank you, Senator Manny. Have a good day.
I'm doing great with that, by the way. I'm doing fantastic with that. Sorry about that. Hey, thanks for that call. That's Doom Tudela calling to ask about the drag strip. So, Senator?
Actually, that's a really good concept. And, a lot of we have to think outside of the box, right? Guam already has the drag strip. And, unfortunately, we didn't take advantage of the assets that we had built by Uncle Sam and the U.S. Army Corps of U.S. Army Air Corps, right? Which built, and also the Japanese, which built a lot of the airstrips that we had. We had one in Marpi, we had one in Cagman, we had one in Koblerville. And can you imagine if we utilized that infrastructure, we would have saved money. So I believe there was a former congressman that attempted to do that. And the question we have to ask ourselves is sometimes it's how would I say, it's like people don't realize how much power they actually hold. For every law to pass, we need public comment, public support. And if this is something that the organizations are really passionate about, in fact, they can even do a popular initiative to make it happen. go out and get some petitions and have people sign for it and mandate the legislature to do it. That's one way. Another way is to visit with your representative. Again, the Senate doesn't appropriate money. Unfortunately that's one power that we don't have. It's the House of Representatives. So I strongly encourage members of the community that want to see an infrastructure project get done to reach out to enough of your congressmen. So if you have a car club and you have members from Precinct 1, you have members from Precinct 2, have each member reach out to each of their congressmen to really push for that. And in addition, you have maybe it can be something that CEDA also looks into. Find the actual other organizations that can tag. I remember helping the Marianas Racing Association, and I believe that's more for motorsports, with their sounds, like their audio, because when they had this what was it called? Like, when you have a lot of bikers or riders from other countries come in for this. It's not a tournament, right? It's like a race or...
Okay. Well, we'll call it a big event right now, but like race, maybe?
That infrastructure there in Cowtown, like we can turn that into an attraction and bring in more. But I feel like MVA is just focused on the hotels. They also need to be focused on events and the community. That's another issue that we need to look into, because we may have competent people in the management of MVA, but I feel like a lot of our agencies, not just MVA, but the board gets too involved in management decisions, meaning operations, and the board really should not be focused on that. Board should be focused on the long-term vision of the organization.
Yep.
And we have so many boards here. We're only like 50,000, 40,000 population, and we have a board for everything, right? So, that's one thing during the budget that I talked about to my colleagues when I was in the House. It's like, if we're gonna cut the boards. If push comes to shove, and are you gonna cut the person that's actually doing the job, or you have to? There's some boards that are important, but there's some boards that I think it's a little too much.
Man, I'll tell you, I had that same conversation with. So we've got our a congresswoman now. She used to be the chairman of the CPA board, right? And I was asking her, why does and this wasn't something for her specifically, but about the boards, same thing. Why are people who are not paid doing the job of people who are being paid to do that job? Why? I think nobody's getting appointed to a board to take an active role in the everyday operations of that organization. So why is that happening? Oh, we got another call coming in. Let's see if this one works out a little bit better. All right, 1 second. I'll try to get rid of the feedback for this one. I moved the microphone away. All right, Hafidades NT Road, thanks for calling the show. Who's this?
Hey, Senator Manny, thank you for answering that question, man, about pushing. We did once did it, but just to give you a little rundown, man, with that drag strip being open, that would bring a lot of people from Japan, a lot of people from Korea, Guam. Guam's drag strip right now is shut down. And imagine Saipan opening. We're going to have a lot of people from Guam come over with their cars and trucks, to showcase what they have. And I really like your suggestion to start pushing at the House. And thank you, man, Manny. You're the man of the game plan. Have a good one.
Thank you, Mr. Do. I think not just the government, but even organizations. So, one thing that's important is to have a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. So if our goal is to get a drag strip or a facility for legal racing to happen, then we need to the car clubs need to organize and push this agenda, but put it in paper. Like by this year, this is what we're gonna do. So I'll reach out to Dung on the side and kind of help him with that.
All right, that's great. Well, thanks so much for that. Man, this is a great opportunity. I love that you've been on here and being so accessible for everybody. This is something I know everybody probably, you would think that you have access to your elected leaders and all that stuff, and it's probably not difficult for you, but I think a lot of people probably don't want to make that first step. Oh, I don't, I'm just some guy, or I'm just somebody. But you're actively interested in this kind of stuff.
If so the reason why I came in is just like, man, I've been kind of like too focused on the Hill. Like I need to go and try and reach out. And in fact, I'm not up for election, but I want to get into the villages and really get the qualitative information of how people feel. Like I kind of, because I'm struggling too. Like, my salary at the legislature is not the same as my salary at NFC. Like it's a struggle. And that's the kind of like we have a lot of, I talk to a lot of people and I'm like, man, we need some of those guys that have been doing the work in certain agencies. It's like, you see it firsthand. You need to be part of our team. Like you need to be up in the legislature and making policy. Because, we need more public servants to step to the plate, whether you're from PSS. And that's why everyone works at PSS, because the salary is good. Better. It's this is the first time I got a good refund, to be honest. Yeah. Man, when I was at NFC, I always have to pay. But this is the first year that, I'm actually getting a child tax.
Wow.
And, but
I had we have ideas about what to do, but we had you here for a long time. Yeah. I think we should let you go and breathe and relax a little bit, and maybe we don't have to tackle every issue in this first trip, but maybe we have you come back and spend some time and talk about some of the other stuff that you have going on.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you're here at the right time. Look at this. Come on in. Yeah, you can walk right in. Hi, good morning.
Hi, I'm here to deliver your lemonade from McDonald's.
Yes.
Faye and Jules.
No, wait, yeah, come on over. You're already on camera. No, you're okay. Yeah, okay. All right, hold on, let me take off my headphones here for a second. Thank you. What's your name?
My name is Veronica. I'm the marketing assistant for McDonald's.
Awesome. Let me give you my card real quick. This is Senator Manny Castro. If you haven't met him before, now you have. And this is me.
Okay.
So, thanks so much for coming.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll give this a try.
Okay.
How about that? That was just awesome timing. So this is, we just got a free lemonade to try out. But McDonald's is now doing lemonade, and they dropped this off for us. So we'll tell you guys all about this here in just a second. But what I was going to say is, we don't have to tackle every issue on this trip. It was already about like an hour and a half that you've been over, or has it been that long? Yeah, it's been over an hour straight. So Can we get you to come back again and talk about some more stuff?
Sure.
Well, all right. Well, any final thoughts that maybe, or acknowledgments, or anyone you want to reach out to or say anything to?
I just want to give a shout out to all the, our general public, also our business community, our government employees. Like Abraham Lincoln, right, once said, it's like, and I heard this from WSR. Shout out to WSR. Like, you have good management over there and good teachers. You have good teachers everywhere. Like, thank you, teachers. But it was the best way to predict the future is to create it. Abraham Lincoln. So we have to think positive. And, we cannot change other people. We cannot change, but what we can do is change ourselves, how we react to things. If we're unemployed right now, there's programs out there. Go out and get them. That, like when I was in school. That's part of the reasons why I decided to move to Oregon. Is for that opportunity. I didn't want to struggle like my parents were struggling, so I had to do something about it. And my comment out to the public is you can do something about it. Let's not wait for the government. Let's take action and take care of ourselves. And that's not to say we are not like us in the legislature. We're not going to work for you, but like time is money, and with all the programs out there, this recessions are the best time to advance yourself, right? So when the economy goes down, usually people go back to school, they retool. And that's one of the bills that I wanted to focus on, which I will get to that, is I want to change the scholarship program, because we need to go beyond the United States. We need to allow our students to be able to go to school in Korea, to be able to go to school in Taiwan. Why? Because that's where it's happening.
Wow, yeah.
If you want to study, like if you're into, like, for example, solar panels, manufacturers, solar panels, like Korea, number one. Batteries, manufacturing batteries. It used to be the United States, now it's China, number one, batteries. But so our CW program is going to expire. So this is an opportunity for people in our community, if you're unemployed, to upskill, right? If you're interested in being a heavy equipment operator, find out how to get there and utilize the resources that are available to get there.
It's a brilliant idea. Go to the places where they are killing it. We go out there, we learn directly from them, and so our scholarship applies to that. So it helps our local. Want to
improve tourism? What better than to have a local understand Koreans, understand Japanese, understand Chinese, and then apply that to the services that we're offering.
Brilliant. Where's everybody? Man, I'm telling you, we're going to sit here for like 5 hours.
Every day, Guam is taking away tourists from us via marketing. You see all those Bikini Island ads on YouTube. Like, what is that for? It's like, because Maniagawa is very popular. We need to be doing the same. We need to be doing ads.
I'm all about you on this. I mean, so here I was going to say let's wrap it up, but only because I didn't want to keep you too long. But I'll tell you, so MBA, you think about what the thing is for MBA. You said they're focused on the hotels. Yeah, I understand that, but that's what Hanmi's for, right?
Yeah.
So MBA, all they have to do, well, first of all, they got the coolest job in Saipan, because they get to tell, or Saipan, Tinian, and Rota, they get to tell everybody why we're so great and why everyone should come here. And all of those things, like you said about the other topics, like, well, you got to pay this fee. Well, why? You have to have all that reason. The question is, why do we have this race? Why do we have this event? It's to have people come here. And like having the marathon isn't just about having people come here for the marathon. The whole picture of that might be the execution of that day of the event. But the event is to create marketing materials to have people come back any time of the year. Take the videos of how beautiful it is here and everybody having a good time. Use that kind of stuff all year long and think about other events they could do to do it. And we don't do that because, one, they're always underfunded, it seems like. And they don't, and the people that they have at MBA, I'll tell you, I know I have ruffled a few feathers over there over the past couple of years talking about it, but there's never anything that says the people there aren't good at what they do. They've got great logistics people. They've got great people that when stuff hits the fan, they can get stuff done right away. But someone told me this, and it stuck with me to this day, that the people at MVA are suffering from perpetual burnout. Yeah. They are just going from event to event to event without being able to breathe, without being able to consider new ideas and do new things, because they are just trying to check all the boxes so they feel that they've accomplished what they're supposed to do. without actually doing new things?
Key word I need to say is we need to focus. And we need to synergize. Meaning, if we get all the key players that can benefit. So when I was the enrollment manager at NMC, and Governor Torres signed this the travel bubble during the pandemic, what did I do as an enrollment manager? I signed up NMC for the college fair in Korea. And guess what? That's the first time the NMC ever had a showroom in Korea, and they got a lot of engagement, and we still get a lot of students from Korea. But guess what? UOG's been doing it for years. But it wasn't the University of Guam that paid for that booth. It was GVB, right? Because that's another educational tourism.
Yep.
So I've been there, when I first started at NMC, there are so many things happening. The Consolidated Natural Resources Act, federal takeover of immigration. So I can relate to a lot of these government personnel that have to deal with, management. And sometimes the person in the front line knows more than the manager, knows more than the board member. So the key thing is to really get those people up.
Yeah,
and provide them the resources.
And making sure that we have the right people. Speaking about MBA, about making sure we have the right people in the right place. The board members shouldn't be directing everything with regards to, they shouldn't be involved in day-to-day operations, right? Like you mentioned, but knowing why they're doing it, what they're doing it for, having people in those positions that aren't just going to make decisions that benefit their property, that it benefits the CNMI as a whole. And if it comes to a vote that would involve their particular property, they should recuse themselves from those kind of votes.
We're really working in, right now there's a lot of silo activities going on, meaning we're supposed to be synergized and working together. I'm not saying we're not working together, but a lot of times different agencies are not syncing up. So, for example, public lands, right? Department of Public Lands, that's the main access to land, and they're managing Maniagaha right now, right? But I feel like to improve the product, more of our, as a tourist, if I go to Maine, what am I gonna, as a tourist of Maine, what am I looking for? I'm looking for lobster. So tourists coming here, they don't, if they're from Korea, they don't want to just eat Korean food. They want access to, local culture, local food. At least that's the minimum to have that available. So rather than leasing the whole Maniagaha, have 10 stalls in that, and have, actual local products available.
Man, you're right.
Things are happening, even the process, right? When we had a lot of Chinese tourists, they were transferring money just like that. WeChat, boom, boom, boom. Meanwhile, our government is still operating on carbon copy and cash.
And tokens.
And, that's another, when I visited Korea, they had this octopus card. Or was it? No, that was Hong Kong, I think, that had the octopus card, right? And you just load money, and then you can go everywhere. You can use that card, to pay, in the train. And then when I visited Korea, they had the Discover Seoul Pass. It's a pass for 3 days. All the public attractions, it gives you free access to it. It gives you access on the train. And that's the kind of process we need to look at. When you go to Palau, you can buy the permit right there. So rather than having toll booths at each site, have a pass or have a permit that you can buy at Joten or buy at the airport and just flash it. We already have security at this place. I'll just say, where's your badge? Where's your pass? So again, process and making it convenient for for our tourists and our residents.
You know, you mentioned about the like having, you know, how Public Lands is doing Managaha now that they took that back from that global fiasco company.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of Public Lands, and I don't know if they team up with Public Lands and like Parks and Rec or somebody, but we don't have a state park. You know, we don't have a park, and we could even kind of model it after like the national parks, where like we have our local park rangers that take care of these things. And even better, that pool that's up in Marpee, whatever we end up doing, if somebody gets this lease and they fix up that pool, make that like a Parks and Recs thing where we have CNMI certified lifeguards that get to do that and maintain those pools. It creates jobs, but worthwhile jobs that are worth having, and maintaining local facilities. And we got a little point of pride with our local park system.
So we have park rangers, but they're really not park rangers. You know, even just visiting Palau, when you say ranger, that's a big deal. That's like a cop.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Oregon and the rangers came in, the park rangers, they could cite you, they could arrest you, they had that authority. They were more of law enforcement, and that's another bill that I introduced in the House, is drunk and disorderly, but it sat in committee. I know Senator Carina's working on introducing that bill, and at the same time, Congressman Diego is working on something, maybe reintroducing my bill, because that's another problem, drunk and disorderly conduct. And you know, when you look back into the law, under the Trust Territory Government, that used to be a law. You can't be drinking in public spaces. You know, there used to be we used to have good respect. People would know like what time to leave, and now it's getting out of hand. And if you look at this beach road right here, you know, the number of rape incidents, look at the articles. It's not really happening right now, but like mid-2000s, there was a lot of rape incidents along Beach Road, and it's all drunk and disorderly related. So right now what's happening, we have a lot of drunk and disorderly conduct, drugged and disorderly conduct happening in Garapan, in Precinct 2, you know, but businesses, they have to, you know, like there's laws about loitering, but businesses, you need to like get those guys arrested and out of the establishment.
I think that's one of the reasons why our stores close so early. They're like, so many of the stores close at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to have to deal with some of the headaches that come later.
And, you know, like the officers themselves, there's several that have been reaching out like to get this, they need this because they would go respond to a scene and they can't do anything about it because nobody's willing to press charges.
Mm-hmm.
According to our legal counsel, you could still, you know, which I'm kind of curious, like other states I know, like they could just, like a citizen's kind of like complain or something, yeah. But
well, I mean,
yeah, we need to focus on those things.
We don't have to get into the specifics of this one, but and we don't have to mention any names or anything. But there's somebody who's been in a few videos recently who has been in each one of these different incidences, has been causing quite a massive disturbance. And each of the 4 videos that I've gotten sent, more than 4, I've gotten 6 videos, but they're in 4 different locations. And at some point, though, that has to be something that somebody's going to have to answer for.
So first of all, that by the second video, you should already know that there's some mental challenges there.
Mm-hmm.
And what the government should be doing, whoever's in the, you know, involved in that space, like maybe this person's already getting treatment for it, but it's, you know, it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe in you can only get so much treatment once you cross the line. You know, discipline has to come in to play. Again, the root cause, like I do believe in all the support that our public health and the SAR program they're doing. But at the end of the day, what people need is a livelihood. So it's cheaper to take proactive and preventive measures than to keep funneling money into the end of the problem. So what do I mean by that? We need to put more money into youth programs. We need to put more money into rehabilitation programs and advance our people, rather than putting more money into the lawyers and the drug courts and you can only get so much treatment. At the end of the day, people need a livelihood, right? I want to give a shout out to the Department of Corrections and the leadership there for really, despite the challenges, there's a lot of restrictions with what they can and cannot do, but the outreach program is been doing really good work. And that's the whole reason why I introduced that inmate bill, to not necessarily to pay inmates, but think about it, right? Construction is really expensive. And right now, and the federal minimum wage doesn't apply to inmates. So it's a win-win if we can have access to inmate workforce when building public infrastructure, and it's going to reduce the costs, right? So because labor is about 30 to 50% of costs. So if you have basically, if you need to build a one-bedroom house, like CBDG, right? They're going to build a one-bedroom house. One-bedroom house is about $250,000 right now. That's crazy. My two-bedroom house that my mom and my dad sacrificed to build and took out a mortgage, back then it cost $80,000, and that's why you had so many households building homes in the 80s and 90s, because construction was affordable. One, we controlled our labor, but we don't have that anymore. But what can we do? What do we have control over where we can reduce the cost of construction and get more people into homes, right? And that's where I was thinking with the inmate, is rehab, and at the same time reducing the cost of construction and infrastructure.
You're nailing it. So I mean, the thing is, I've spoken a lot with folks who have gone through that system, and then I've spoken with the law enforcement folks, I spoke with the prosecution folks, and I spoke with the parole folks. And one of the hardest things for them to do when they do go through all that rehab is they end up back in the same spot, because they don't have anything to do at that next stop. Because one of them is that people are, even if they've served their time and they're doing everything everyone told them to do, they're reluctant to even hire them in the first place. So then all of a sudden it erodes their self-confidence, their self-worth, and they slip back into the people who are going to give them, and the practices that gave them comfort before that led them into the points of that.
So look at all that costs. Recidivism is, it's expensive. People keep going in and out of DOC. Who's paying for that? We're paying for that. Would you rather just subsidize someone to be in prison, or would you want them to be working towards paying off restitution to the people that they've wronged, but at the same time getting, career, getting a career after, or training after, so they don't go back to square one? And that's the CW program. Again, I'm saying it's going to expire in 3 years. Are we ready to pay quadruple for things? If we don't train, and the inmate, like DOC, that's just one component. NMC, PSS, NMTI, we need to get in line. We need to start doing accelerated programs to upskill our population, to get ready for that. Are we going to wait till the program is expanded? And, sometimes I'm like, maybe I'm in the wrong space. Maybe I should be on the implementation side. But again, we have to fix some of these policies, and we, when you look at all the countries that were struggling after World War II, or were just struggling economically, they invested in education, but not just academic, they invested in education that's going to get a return. So with all the money that's going into our schools, we need to start looking at the curriculum, not just following national curriculum, but what is important because, not everybody wants to be, like a business major or English, or a teacher. Maybe we can get some people that are interested in career technical stuff like running the power plant or heavy equipment operation.
Well, you were in NMC for a while, and with enrollment, you probably have a better idea about how things went in public schools, maybe. But like when I was coming up, I was a product of public school, and went through in New York, and in middle school they started, and then in high school continued what we call tech ed, technical education. So one of your classes during the year is a tech ed class. And that's where we learned how to use power tools and where we learned how to do all kinds of different things. And it's really just to get you experience. And some kids really caught on to that. Yeah. Then there was a mechanics part, like in high school, when you got to that next level, like where they would end up working on vehicles and all kinds of stuff. And it was right there for the kids who wanted to move in that direction.
And we used to have those programs. In fact, when I was attending Hopwood, I was taking agriculture with Mr. Ben Borja. And by the way, Mr. Ben Borja studied, he went to school at a university in Cagayan de Oro in the Philippines and came back. And that's the thing. You can get an agriculture degree in the mainland, but really, like, our crops, are they similar to Oregon or California? No, they're similar to the Philippines so like, some of these things, like we have to take a look at. But when I was at Hopwood, we had home economics.
Home ec, yeah, I remember that.
I mean, nowadays, like, kids don't know how to cook, right? And think about it. If we're teaching our kids how to cook, we're teaching our kids how to maintain their air conditioner, how much savings is that going to be for them in the long run, right? But those programs, I don't think they're not there anymore. Not everything is complete, right? So at NMC we had this in the 90s they started the 2+2 program where high school students can take college courses, and I tried to do that, but it came down to like the partnership. The president and the commissioner signed it, but then getting buy-in from certain teachers, everybody was like, oh, I want to get paid extra. It's like, no, you're not going to get paid extra because PSS is already paying you for that hour. Like, all you need to do, if we're gonna pay you, we just pay you for that one curriculum that you're gonna do, right? But I don't know, like I really think, everyone can keep preaching education, but at the end of the day, we need to ask ourselves, what's our return on investment? We're giving so much scholarship money to students to go off island. What percentage of them are coming back and serving, or what percentage are paying off the money that they got from the CNMI government? Because we're shortchanging the new students coming in. When I was going to college out there in Oregon, it was like close to $5,000 a semester. Wow. Now they are getting like less than 1,000 or 1,009 or, for 5 months. So we really need to like look at that. Are we going to continue to train the workforce of other states? You won't find that, like, the state of Oregon will not give you a scholarship to attend NMC in Saipan. They're going to give you a scholarship to attend a university within the state. So, I'm not saying we're not going to send our students off island, but what I am saying is there's federal programs in place. So what we can do is when they go off island, Uncle Sam is going to give them a subsidized loan. Unsubsidized, subsidized, parent plus, the works of loans to cover your education. then where the CNMI government can come into play is repay those loans when you come back and work.
That's great.
And mind you, there's a thing called Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So Uncle Sam, like the CNMI will only pay up to 10 years, then the rest is forgiven. So this is where you're leveraging resources to,
That's it. And we don't have to rewrite the book on that. One of the reasons why we're able to get doctors to come out here and get paid less than what they do somewhere else is because of that loan forgiveness program, right?
Yeah.
So we can still get high-level folks that come out here, and they do it for underserved areas, which we're considered. So when they come out here, they've got those federal student loans. Part of their service out here pays off their student loans. So we could just do that to benefit us locally as well. So
it's a lot.
This is a great conversation. I'll tell you, this is awesome. Again, more and more folks jumping in the comments, appreciating this and coming up with ideas. Something to definitely look at after we're done. The other part is, we're talking about the technical stuff and people with the more hands-on jobs. Is some of that, do we need to start doing that in the schools because we need to reframe who those jobs are for? Because it seems like there's a lot of folks, we got a call coming in again. Peeling called and then it hung up. Peeling, you can call back.
So your question, out of sight, out of mind. Mm-hmm. So if we're not giving awareness to our students early on, they would never be interested. Mm-hmm. If our students are only seeing, teachers, firefighters, police, that's all they're aware of. But if we, put in some programs where they could see like diesel tech, like, I can work at the power plant.
Yep.
I can be a lineman, or I can be a heavy equipment operator. I can be a businessman. But I really believe we also need to focus on entrepreneurial education also.
I'm with you, but I also have to run around and do this speaker thing again. It is a short-term problem. I'm going to have to bring in the fancy other speaker. Sorry about that. But you're right. So, the thing is, like, a lot of folks, especially in the service industry here, one of the things I noticed is, like, people don't want to do those jobs and work their way up in, like, the hotels and all that because they don't see it as a job that is for them. It's for folks who are from off island to get paid, like, minimum wage or something, as opposed to working their way up here and taking the time to learn some of those trades and working their way up in the hotels. And then you see the fruits of it, though. You see the people who do put the time in. You see like a Zen Tomakane, a guy who working his way up and is an executive chef now at a hotel, at a international brand hotel, with a Crown Plaza. He's an executive chef. How cool is that? One of our local talents here. So, but we could have the same thing for the guys who are in charge of our maintenance and the folks who are in charge of like the engineering departments at these hotels. They could be people from here, not people from off island.
So I'll give you an example. Continental Air Micronesia. Mm-hmm. Air Mic used to be owned by Micronesians, United Micronesia Development Association. The mechanics were local, the flight attendants were local, the ground crew were local. But, nowadays, like, locals won't do that. There's there's racism and discrimination. But, versus in the States, there's like one nursing home that I know of, and they're like, where are you guys from? Can we get more of you guys? Like, it all comes down to like discipline, awareness, and things. Like if we're not teaching it happens in the home and it also happens in school. We need to start molding kids because like it's don't take offense, but like we've been westernized a little bit too much.
My feelings there hurt so bad. No, but you're absolutely right.
But it's happening in the mainland too. Same challenge, right? Man, like I feel like if we really plan this out right and start giving opportunities, We have great kids, and I'll tell you just my experience being in Precinct 2, despite the challenges we have with drugs, unemployment, poverty, really great kids there. And that's why, you know, I try to focus as much with the youth. Like when baseball and basketball teams like call me up, hey Congressman, can you sponsor our team? I was like, wait, hold off, because I need to help the youth first, because there's nothing for them. Like, you know, you guys are working, you have full-time jobs, you can chip in for your sponsorship, but the kids, like, we need more programs for them. And again, preventive. When DPS had the DARE program, that was very effective for me. Even though nationally it was not effective according to the data, but locally it helped a lot of kids here. Like my generation, I know, you know, a lot of them that it helped them, right? But now it's, you see kids like vaping at 10 years old, 12 years old, chewing betel nut at that early. Like, you didn't see that before, or the scale, right? And I had one of my former staffs who was still like 18 or younger, because I have some youth employees that are part-time, and they're like, when I was a congressman, Congressman, can you buy me something? I was like, are you kidding me? you better go figure that out. Like, but yeah.
Well, that's a whole nother track, a whole nother story, and all that. I mean, the different substances and what people are getting into early. But I'm with you on so much of that. That DARE program worked for me. I had that when I was in school. The Just Say No was the program when we were little kids. And
man, they had like the souped up Jeep Cherokees with the rims, and it was pretty catchy. It was like, and I much respect to law enforcement, especially the veterans, like from the 90s. I felt like there's a lot of community policing back then. When I was a kid, I would sell pickled mangoes, like, because our family compound, we have a lot of mangoes. So, like, you know, in the States, they would make lemonade and sell us. We would sell pickled mango by the road. And I made like $100 a day, like, selling pickled mango.
Wow.
And then I just remember this officer, I didn't get his name, but he stopped by, bought some mango, went to the store, bought me a drink. And see that kind of community policing, like,
that's
like
great. So my kids got that same kind of benefit. So they're a little older now, 12 and 13. But you know, go back about 5 years or so, and they wanted to do a lemonade stand. Yeah. So we made the stand. They made the signs, and they were standing out. We were over by Quartermaster Tank, and holding up signs by the road, and people were coming by, walking on the beach path. And then I can't remember the name of the police officer. Commissioner Marianas does, because I sent him the photo and everything back when before he left the first time, right?
Yeah.
And I said, this officer was so great. He came over, pulled over, and didn't just buy lemonade from them, also gave them a bunch of money, like, because they were doing it, and took pictures with them and everything. You know, that great engagement. And so their first experience with the police officers is like, these are the good guys.
Yeah.
You know? That, I think we need a lot more of that. Like, I hope Commissioner brings back what they had, that coffee with a cop.
Yep.
I got great pictures that my kids made because they got to meet them at McDonald's, who brought us that lemonade that we haven't tried yet. And they just got to hang out with them, ask them some questions and all that.
And we really need to work on their salary.
Oh, my goodness.
And that was like, not just salary, but I was working on a bill in the House to require accreditation for DPS. And what does that mean? It basically combine law enforcement or Council of Law Enforcement Agencies, some CALEA. And it's kind of like NMC is like the college, right? We're accredited by WASC Senior Commission, like the same body that accredits Stanford University. Mm-hmm. So you're bringing up the college up to standard. So in this case, if DPS got that accreditation, it's up to standard with all police, not just standards in terms of performance, but also standards in terms of pay, right? And that's very important because you can have accreditation, but if you don't have adequate pay, what you're going to have is you're going to have officers moving to other states because now they can lateral transfer. But, we really need to push in some of these resources to allow our law enforcement and first responders to advance. And we can't just, the pay hasn't changed since a long time.
Well, it's so bad. So we're going to go back in time here for a second. And about 18 years ago, I was contemplating a move to Hawaii, and I went to Maui, and I wasn't going for this at all.
Yeah.
But I was blown away by all the marketing for becoming a Maui County cop. I'm like, I mean, they're in the newspaper, they're on the radio, they're on TV. I'm seeing it everywhere on billboards trying to recruit to be a Maui County cop. So I called them, and the first thing was to say, hey, you guys are going so heavy into trying to get this. And they gave me the details. The starting pay was incredible. And they said the reason why they were the salary was so high is because they couldn't get anyone to pass the drug test. But your starting pay, my starting pay as an officer, if I would have been a Maui County cop, now it's not like a Honolulu Police Department or something like that, but the Maui County, I was gonna make about $80,000, and that was about 17, 18 years ago. And your first couple years, you end up going off to more of the remote, like might be in Molokai, or I might go out to Hana, but even then they would fly me back and forth to the other spot. So that's just about a salary range, right? But for experience, I thought that if we could work out an exchange program with officers from other jurisdictions, so that our officers can kind of learn best practices and bring them back to here, and it would help the other jurisdictions also. If we had, I don't know if it's like a 6-month assignment, like with some community in California, a 6-month assignment with maybe a community in Guam, or anywhere else in Micronesia, and like you were saying, somewhere else that might not necessarily be like somewhere that fits a scenario with the situations or similarities closer to us, where like you were talking about, like for farming, it wouldn't really be Oregon, it might be Philippines. So think about like here, who would be a great trade partner for us for that?
So it's interesting that you brought that up, because I actually, although it's not for DPS, but maybe this could be the start. I introduced exactly what you're talking about. It's called an Interjurisdictional Corrections Compact. So this one is for DOC to do what you just explained.
Wow.
To train, and also, resources for both departments, which every corrections in the United States has that compact. We just don't.
No kidding. And it's a big win. One of the things that led me to think about that is when I was with TSA, when I came out here, and the folks at the airports here don't have that same volume of people going through, right?
Yeah.
So their experience is crazy. Like, it's just, good job, TSA guys here. That's not saying anything negative about it. But if you haven't been in like a Cat X airport, like the biggest ones,
LAX.
Like, LAX, JFK, Newark, Chicago, O'Hare. Like, if you haven't done that, you don't know about how quickly you got to do it, and also it makes it tunes your senses a little bit, where you're able to scan things a lot quicker and all that. Now they're doing a lot more of the automation with the technology's a lot better now. But like having that experience, so if we would have sent our folks off to go and train in some of those places instead of just be from here and work in a part-time gig here. Send them to Honolulu, and let them see what that is like, that kind of experience at a bigger place.
And that's, that's how you leverage and, you reduce costs and you improve outcomes. We have the same thing when I was at NMC. NMC became one of the first territories, I don't want to say territory, but under WICHE definition, to be part of the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Ed, which meant better access. So our students, when they go to another state in the western part of the United States, they get 50% off resident tuition. So, and they also have other access to exchange programs for graduate school. So it expands your reach. It's kind of like a joint venture. So I think given our small island, population and resources, these are the kind of things that we need to start doing, because it's mutually beneficial to both parties.
Well, I'm with you. Holy cow. We were talking about wrapping up almost an hour ago. This is not we need to wrap it up, but like we're creeping up toward 10 o'clock. And let me just take a look. I just want to see if some of the other messages that came in, if they're all about this. Oh, got it. I got to send some people some requests for money. They're like, hey, I haven't got your invoice yet. I'm like, yes, you got it. I will do this. This has been a great conversation for me. I hope it has for you. I mean, this is outstanding. All right, now we got the call coming in. I might have to repeat it for you. I'm not sure if the speaker is still on. We're going to find out if I hear the feedback here in a second. But we have our caller coming in. It's Piling Gazetmo. I can hear it now. I can feel the vibration in the thing. Piling, can you hear me?
Yes, here. How about me?
Can hear you loud and clear. Can we get your question or your comment for the senator?
Yeah, good morning, Brad, and good morning, Senator Manny. Maybe this could be of another topic, but I would like to ask Senator Manny, is our cinema generating any funds, money from the casinos?
He's asking if we are generating any funds from the casino.
To my understanding, but not verified yet. To my understanding, probably not. But I know we do have a fiscal affairs meeting coming up where we'll probably have more information on that. But to my understanding, no. That given what we know here in the CNMI, probably not. There's a lot of money owed.
Senator, if the casinos from Rota, Tinian, and Saipan, if there's Commonwealth Casino Commissions that are still, in a way, they're claiming that they should get compensated for the position that they're holding. So if there is no casino and no funds being generated, so isn't it a smart thing to put on hold or put on pause their offices and their position? Because you see, as for the medical referral, there's people that are doing bingo fundraising and all of that. Maybe our leaders could take that money and help our sick people. Plus, I really think they should void that casino license for IPI with the news that just came out. With the news that just came out that casino influence our political leaders in the cinema. So that's my question and my comment.
So thank you, Mr. Gazetmo, about regarding so like my personal opinion is very different from the actual process, but I feel like whatever the law requires, we have to follow. And I would defer to the AG's office in terms of what is appropriate. And I believe the Secretary of Finance probably already was instructed by the AG on what to do moving forward. I do agree with you on that. However, if the law says that we have to pay them and to avoid a lawsuit, I'm gonna defer to the opinion of the AG. I know we are separate branches of government, but that's the beauty of democracy is the courts and the law are the ones gonna the courts and the AG's office, they're the ones that are gonna interpret it. What's the appropriate step based on the law?
Yes, yes, sir. But at one point, the lawmakers also informed the people that the payments for them Commonwealth Casino Commission should be coming out from the casino itself. So why if they make that into a law and a policy, that's how they should be getting their paycheck is money that were generated from the operation of the casino, because the lawmakers brought that casino into our island. You know, they make rules and regulations, and if that's in the book, if that's the rule and the regulation that the money should come out from what is made from the casino, then it's there already. Why should they go and ask for money on the general fund?
I agree with you 100%. To be honest, I was not a fan of the casino, even when it was still being initiated in the very, very beginning. And it's very unfortunate, and that's why where the government is supposed to had people done their job in the very beginning, we wouldn't be in this situation where we're at. It's very important to always vet any investor. But to be honest, I was even asked to be on the casino committee, but I chose not to just because in my heart, I'm not in support of that industry. And that's a personal choice. I believe that it's an artificial economy, and I believe that it creates more problems, in the long run. I also feel like, some of that revenue should be going into gambling addiction and mental health. We need to put in the resources. So it's a cause and effect situation. Again, my personal opinion, if you're gonna ask my personal opinion, I feel I'm in line with your statement. However, this course is gonna be up to the court and the AG to determine.
Okay, sir. Thank you. But I hope our listeners understand too where I come from, because according to the information and the rules and regulations that they were telling the people that their payday should be coming out from the casino and not the general fund or to be appropriated by the leaders or Congress. It should be coming out from the casino. So that's my comment, and that's just the way I understand it. And to the lawmakers who created the casino and make rules and regulations to the casino, they should come back to the table and make it clear how that casino is supposed to be run. That's it, sir. And you have a good day. I love you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Piling. We love you too, brother. Thanks so much for calling in and supporting the show all the time. You are the man. All right, so that's Piling Kazetmo. He reaches out and calls us. He's from here, but he's out there living in Guam, yeah. So it's always great when he reaches out to us. I love him. He never has a boring opinion at all.
And, that's why it's also important for the public to be engaged, and he's engaged right now. At the same time, when we have public hearings, and we need that kind of energy as well, because things will pass or not pass. And sometimes it makes a difference when the public is there. My statement earlier, again, my personal statement, my opinion on casinos, but at that time, I know former Governor Eloy Enos saw it as a way to save the retirement fund. But again, the law was amended. If we followed the initial intent of the law and why it was allowed, it's to save the retirement fund. And that's why we always have to be paying attention with what's going on. Because it's it's kind of like the whole reason why there was support for it was to save the government, save the retirement fund. But in the end, the law was amended and continue to be amended. Regulations continue to be amended, and it got out of hand. So, that's that.
Yeah. All right. Now, this is an epic interview. Again, we're creeping up toward 2.5 hours. So I don't think anyone should be subjected to that much abuse. But you're doing it anyway.
Honestly, it's not. I see it like this is the qualitative information that we need. And it's an access that we should be. Sometimes you get so busy up at the Hill that I just felt like it was important to come in, and my ultimate goal is sometime around the summer to be reaching out some more and getting more of that qualitative. I may be switching gears and moving more towards popular initiatives, so that way we can make things more efficient and kind of bypass some of the process and really get the people direct. Do you support this? Yes or no? Sign here. Then you got public comment penciled on paper.
Right there. I love it. I see all kinds of different things. People are commenting on all these different things that have come on, because we hit a lot of topics in the last couple hours, and this is almost like a town hall, with the comments that come in and the calls. And I really appreciate you taking this amount of time. I'm sure our viewers really appreciate you taking the time to do all that. Our sponsors might not, because we haven't been getting to them at all. But I'll worry about them after we wrap up. But I think this is the exact kind of thing that people from the scene might need, this kind of access, being able to hear what your thoughts are, being able to hear about what your initiatives are, and some of the thoughts behind everything that you're doing. So,
thank you for providing this opportunity, and also thank you for the community and for being engaged through this medium.
Great. And sound good? You ready to wrap? All right. I know we did this earlier, about an hour ago, but any last acknowledgments or anything before we go?
Just shout out to the, public and community members, business community as well. Just keep positive, keep grinding, and keep the government in check. And at the same time, remember what Abe Lincoln said: the best way to predict the future is to create it. So just keep that energy. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks so much. Senator Manny Castro coming out here answering all the questions, and not just the questions. He's given us all these ideas. I think we can all agree that we had a great time with having you here, and we're real thankful for it. So thanks so much, Senator Manny. In fact, I was thinking about it. You talked so much about manufacturing. We should call it manufacturing. That's our next industry that we'll do here. Thanks for being so generous with your time. We look forward to having you back again. Folks, stick around. We're going to come back, but we got to give some love to our sponsors, and that's what we're going to do. But thank you all for all your comments and your questions while we had the good senator here from Saipan in studio. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up and move to commercial phase now. So we'll see you guys in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be here with more of our local topics for your comments, questions, calls, and everything. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Player number 14,
It's a great day to be up 3-0. I'll tell you that. It probably is not great to be down.
I'm Brad Rosala, and I'm the owner for Commonwealth Communications.
And I am Jojo Alipuzu. I am the owner of Island Image and Ocean.
And this is our joint venture, Sideline Studios. This whole concept that we have of doing all these live stream productions and covering news and doing live shows and everything, it wouldn't happen if we didn't have a great partner like IT&E, someone who can handle the bandwidth and provide it and then get us what we need when we need it and then be a real partner for us for all the events, whether we're doing live sporting events, broadcasts. All of these things happen because of our partnership with IT&E.
With IT&E providing us with the fiber and point-to-point and even the MBRs, is just a great piece of equipment to use when we're broadcasting our sports, our events, our performances, especially our cultural performances. And it's just great to share our culture here in the Marianas with the world. And IT&E has been there from the get-go.
The thing I like best about working with IT&E is how willing they are to come out and find a solution. Even for Liberation Day, we thought we had a pretty good solution for our live stream setup, and it turns out that we did not have the right setup that we thought we needed. That day, just before the parade, reached out to Paul and said, here's our situation. What do you think? He's like, we're gonna figure this out. While he's sitting there barbecuing, getting ready for the parade to start, he starts burning up the phone lines, calling everybody in IT&E, what can we do, what's the right solution? They left their families to do this stuff and get us the equipment that we needed to broadcast live. That's over and above. That's on a holiday. That's when he was out there spending time with his family.
That's why IT&E is just the best, just really in touch with the people and the community.
I recommend IT&E to everybody. Tell them the options are there, and you can choose whoever you want and then figure out what you think is the best. But when you're ready, when you're tired of having your calls disconnected or not having service, then you reach out to the guys from IT&E.
Hi, I'm Shauna Brenfleck, nurse practitioner and owner of Island Skin Solutions and Wellness Clinic. We are Saipan's only medical spa offering a wide range of services to meet your unique skincare goals. We offer exclusive medical-grade skincare products that can only be purchased from a licensed medical professional. We also have the CNMI's only master esthetician, who offers new patient consultations that include a mini facial tailored to your needs. Schedule your consultation today to get started on your skincare journey.
Got Medicaid? Paradise Dental's got you covered. We've got you covered from the moment you walk in the door with some of Saipan's best smiles. Medicaid covers your fillings, your extractions, and your checkups with no out-of-pocket expense. And Medicaid covers all of your x-rays without any additional cost to you. So remember, if you've got Medicaid, you're covered. Don't wait for a toothache. Call Paradise Dental today. Come here often.
PHI is your local pharmacy serving customers in Cagman, Garapan, and Dandan since 1996. Shop PHI Pharmacy for all your prescriptions, and we even offer a large line of multivitamin supplements. Our Dandan location is open weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 4 on weekends. Or visit our Garapan and Cagman locations weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 1 on Saturdays. Check us out online at phipharmacy.com or follow us on Facebook. PHI is a locally owned independent community Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Holy cow. Welcome back, Marianas. You are back here on Good Morning Marianas. You're looking live over at Beach Road. It's been raining And it is let up now, but boy, did it come down quite a bit. I don't know if it's been raining that hard where you are in Saipan or anywhere else in the world, really. But definitely it was pouring at one point while we were talking with Senator Manny Castro. Want to say big thanks to Senator Castro for joining us today. He gave us so much of his time. It wasn't just a real quick hit at all. We covered a lot of different topics and kind of reached just about every corner of the spectrum of what he's got going on, and look forward to hearing more from him when he's able to do that. And that's kind of a great segue to letting you know that if you've got stuff going on as well, we'd love to have you come on and talk about it and educate us on what's happening. Hearing it directly from our elected leaders, hearing it directly from our business leaders and all that stuff, that's one of the things that we like to do, to give it to you directly. Nobody's misquoted when they're on here doing this stuff live, and it's just great to do it, right? And it's not giving you a 90-second clip. It's not giving you when it comes to like the big issues, it's not just giving you like a 1-minute read of a story. By doing this, we're able to have those guys in here and give you that conversation. And like our callers already said, or showed, you get to be a part of the conversation, whether it's the comments that you're putting in on the page, or you call the show. Is this cool? I think so. All right. Now, we missed a couple of updates while we were going earlier, so I do want to get you the latest news that's coming out. We do this every hour, and this is the latest news that came out from the Associated Press while we were doing the interview. So we're going to send that one to you right now. This is it, the latest from the Associated Press.
I'm Ben Thomas. President Trump's hinting there may be another round of tariff reversals ahead. Sakar Magani has the latest.
Fewer than 3 weeks ago,
a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States.
The president described them as permanent. Today,
I'm looking at something to help some of the car companies.
He's suggesting a temporary exemption so automakers can relocate production from Canada, Mexico, and elsewhere.
They're going to make them here, but they need a little bit of time.
It's the latest example of the president's hard lines on trade becoming blurred as he tries to limit possible economic and political blowback.
I'm a very flexible person. I don't change my mind, but I'm flexible.
But that flexibility's fueled uncertainty in the markets. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Stocks rose today. Seth Sutel has closing numbers.
The S&P 500 rose 0.8% Monday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added 312 points. It's about 0.8%. The Nasdaq climbed 0.6%. The bond market showed more signs of calm as Treasury yields eased.
China's exports jumped 12.4% in March from a year earlier as companies rushed to beat U.S. tariff increases. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg took the witness stand to defend his company against allegations it illegally monopolized the social media market. And tomorrow is April 15th, tax filing deadline.
Taxpayers calling the Internal Revenue Service for help processing their taxes this filing season may find it harder than normal to get someone on the phone. Experts say that problem is only expected to get worse next year, with staff cuts slashing the workforce. For this year, data of tax return processing times shows numbers that are a lot like numbers from last year. IRS employees involved in the 2025 tax season were not allowed to accept a buyout offer from the Trump administration until after the taxpayer filing deadline, even though thousands of probationary workers were laid off earlier in the year. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
This is AP News. The Osaka Expo's opened in Japan, and Julie Walker reports it offers a vision of the future.
Expo 2025 Osaka opens. On Sunday, more than 10,000 people sang Beethoven's Sixth Symphony. It's a showcase of futuristic exhibits inside about 80 pavilions, including one from the U.S. designed by Christian Lachelle.
World Expos are important because they celebrate the best in humanity and the best of what we can do collectively about the future.
Exhibits of cutting-edge technology like robots and flying cars, as well as pop culture. Byron Russell with the Persona Natureverse Pavilion.
This is a bioengineered heart constructed from something called IPS.
Japan hoping the 6-month-long expo unites the world divided by tensions, wars, and tariffs. I'm Julie Walker.
And I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
Okay, well, there you go. That's the latest update
from the Associated Press. No smooth music segue for you. You get none of that. We'll give you that. All right, there you go. That's not super smooth. We'll give it to you anyway. Oh, man, I'll tell you what. Some of the things that kind of made me laugh. So the Ohio State Buckeyes, national champions for college football, they paid a visit over to the White House yesterday while we were sleeping, actually. And it did not go super well for our vice president. And I'm going to show you why here in just a second. It should have been just great all the way around. And, you know, raise your hand if everything always goes perfect for you, okay? Because I can tell you it doesn't always go perfect for me. But we've got sometimes maybe when you're trying too hard, maybe if you're doing a little bit more than what you should be doing. This great video from the Associated Press. So everybody's there. They're getting their pictures taken with the president, and there it is. You see there's President Trump with the football helmet with all the stickers, and then you look, there's Vice President J.D. Vance. He's going to make his way over to the trophy that they've got. This is where it all goes wrong. When he goes to pick it up, he's like, yeah, let's lift it up. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Oh, no. Oh, no. Sorry, Mr. Vice President. This is, they have to put it back together. It's a lighter moment. Vice President probably not feeling too happy about that moment right there, but now he's got it in his hand. They dropped the bottom part, and they've got it. You know, thank goodness it wasn't back when it was a crystal football, and he's still laughing at it. You just look at his face and think about if you were in that situation. He's like, yeah, it's all cool, right? It's all right. Yeah, anyway, thought that was funny. Worth showing you guys as well. But, hey, I've been part of that club where it didn't always work out the way I was hoping it would for me, and it definitely happened for him. You know, I know it's not the same thing, but it says, you know, your comment, I know this was about land and stuff like that, Frank, where you said they should break it apart and turn it into something else the public can use. I think maybe he took that advice, even though it had nothing to do with what you were saying. But that was pretty funny. And one of those lighter moments, not too bad. Let's just talk about a couple of things real quick, and we're not going to dig in too deep because it's already 10:15. We might go for just a little bit longer. But I thought this was interesting that the U.S. Army is going to control some land on the Mexico border. And how are they going to do that? You know, we normally don't do that, but the way around it is making it part of a base. And this is a story from the Associated Press. It says, a long sliver of federal land along the U.S.-Mexico border that President Donald Trump is turning over to the Department of Defense will be controlled by the Army as part of a base, which would allow troops to detain any trespassers, including migrants, U.S. officials told the AP. The transfer of that border zone, the military control, and making it part of an Army installation is an attempt by the administration to get around some of the federal laws that prohibits U.S. troops from being used in domestic law enforcement on American soil. But if the troops are providing security for land that's part of an Army base, well, they could perform that function. However, at least one presidential powers expert said the move is likely to be challenged in the courts. You know, I don't know. I understand the rules, our national laws about keeping troops from doing domestic law enforcement for sure, because that's one of the things that we didn't like about the British. You know, remember the Quartering Act and all that stuff where they were able to just put people in your house. But this one here, you know, if you're on the border, it doesn't seem like it's domestic law enforcement. When the folks are protecting the borders, that doesn't seem like it's a domestic law enforcement job. So I can see it. Either way, I'll tell you what, our law enforcement, our Commonwealth, our Customs and Border Patrol are pretty overtaxed. Even before this, everything that they're doing right now, they were definitely overtaxed. In fact, the folks who are working Customs and Border Patrol on the southern border, their divorce rate amongst married officers, 90%.
And that's not a new statistic. That was back when I was looking at that job about 23 years ago. And I'm like, that's got to be a rough job to have. If their divorce rate is 90%, people who have that job, that's how stressful, that's how demanding that gig is. So this hopefully will end up helping the guys who are doing that kind of stuff. Anyway, the story continues, says the officials said the issue is still under review in the Pentagon. But even as any legal review goes on, the administration's intent is to have the troops detain migrants at the border. The land transfer is the farthest the Trump administration has gone to use the military for border security. Up until now, the military's involvement has been limited largely to helping build or fortify sections of the border wall and operating deportation flights to send migrants back to their home countries, or in some cases, to the detention facility in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. You can't handle the truth. The military also has assisted U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents by conducting surveillance or performing backup administrative tasks. And, you know, some of those, by the way, they've got so much, like the military, you know, when your budget starts with the letter T, you've got a lot of assets that some of those other folks just don't have. All right, so where is this sliver of land that they're talking about? It really is a sliver. The corridor is known as the Roosevelt Reservation. It's a 60-foot wide federal buffer zone that ribbons along the border from New Mexico to California, except where it encounters tribal or privately owned land. It's been run by the Interior Department up until the Trump administration directed control be transferred to the Defense Department in a presidential memo released just this past Friday. For the next 45 days at least, the Defense Department will test taking control of the section of the Roosevelt Reservation in New Mexico, east of Fort Huachuca, which is an Army installation in Arizona. According to one of the U.S. officials, during that period, the Army will put up additional fencing and signs warning people not to trespass. Keep off my lawn. No, there's no lawn. It's all dirt. All right. People not authorized to be in the area could be arrested by the Army security forces, and that's not a surprise. What else we got? It says it's not clear if the added land would require the military to deploy additional forces to the border. There's about 7,100 active duty troops under federal control currently assigned to the border, and about 4,600 National Guard troops under state control. Troops are prohibited from conducting civilian law enforcement on U.S. soil under the Posse Comitatus Act. An exception known as the Military Purpose Doctrine allows it in some cases, but would not apply here and would likely be challenged in the courts. That is according to Elizabeth Gottin. She's an expert in presidential emergency powers at the Brennan Center for Justice. All right, well, that's it right there. That's going to be an interesting one to follow. Imagine if, I'll tell you what though, former infantrymen, again, I don't think this is going to be something for MPs. I think this will probably be something that regular grunts will end up, like us, will end up doing. And that doesn't seem like it's a big deal. The only thing would be is that their hands would be tied for a lot of those issues too, for protecting Border Patrol. And that's where it becomes a little confusing. As an infantryman, you're trained with kind of a simple purpose. If it's about security, you've got the things like, you've got your rules of engagement. I'm sure they're going to be told, you can't fire on these guys. I'm sure that's the first thing. But if you're in the infantry and someone is trying to infiltrate your perimeter, your job is not to be their pal and reach out to them with any bit of love and compassion at all. It's like, we got people in the wire. Pop, 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 pop. So it's going to be something that we're going to follow for sure and see how that goes. And hey, some people are going to say it's about time. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it just opens up, the potential for some rough stuff to happen. And I'll see what happens. I don't know. That is a touchy topic for some folks. I think making sure that people enter the country legally sounds good. It definitely controls what's going on with the wages and the labor and everything like that. Making sure that folks who are actually citizens of the country get the jobs that are there.
Well, but people don't want to do it. People want to work. People want to work. People would rather work, and it's better for people to work than to just do public assistance, if they can, right? But if there's no jobs, can't do it, right? People would rather work. People would rather be on vacation. I would rather be on vacation, nonstop, fully funded. That would be way more fun. But at some point, working versus not working, there's a whole lot of reasons why that's a good idea. All right, real quick, anything else? Let's take a little glance through all the other headlines, things that were happening here. This is a big one that I don't know that we're going to be able to really digest. We heard a little bit about this online gaming bill in Tinian. Folks in Tinian couldn't talk with us officially or on the record as far as they didn't want to be public about it because they want to see this go through and see if it could get through. But hopefully now that it's gone to the governor's office and he got vetoed, maybe they could talk about it a little bit more. That was one of the things that was a little difficult to me because I know there's people who really care about what they're doing, and there's people that want to get things across the finish line with regards to legislation, and they just don't want to make any waves before it gets there. And I think that hurts them as opposed to helping them because it doesn't allow for people to understand the issues that they're trying to talk about. They're trying to get it through by, again, not making a big fuss. That's cool. But the thing is that all these laws that you're looking to pass, it's for the people. And the people should know about it. And you should get people to know about it. And if people are going to pick sides, well, there's nothing you can do about that. If people are going to party up as opposed to people up, there is something you could do about that. You could be a people first guy. But with regards to this, our understanding was this. They want to do this online casino gaming where they have their own e-currency. And that's a big, and I didn't read the story about in there with the licenses and all that other stuff, but that's one of the key components of this is having their own e-currency to do this stuff. So in this one here, this was about having some kind of e-currency so that folks can operate like gaming through Tinian. There'd almost be its own currency that would run through Tinian. And they would end up probably doing it like Commonwealth-wise. But the thing is, the way it would work is that people would buy these this electronic currency with real money. So like you could go to the store, not the store, but the CNMI would be the store. And they would buy this, let's call it Tinian bucks. I mean, really, let's just call it Tinian bucks. I don't know what they were going to call it. You could buy Tinian bucks because the United States does not regulate what you could do with your Tinian bucks, but they do regulate what you can spend and how you can spend your actual U.S. dollars. And they also wouldn't regulate if you're from another country buying Tinian bucks. You can. It's no problem. Tinian bucks they're nothing, right? So you can buy it with yuan if you want to. You could buy it with yen. You could buy it with won, whatever it is. Then you do all your e-gaming with your Tinian bucks. You win some, you lose some. Then you come back out to cash out. And you get it back in the money that you want. That is probably the concern with regards to this because they don't want to have the opportunity for shenanigans. Shenanicoins is what they should call it. So so the governor said no. And he's saying that he's been, and he got this based on the advice of the Attorney General. The Attorney General, by the way, who is not a member of any party because you can't be. So says the delegation from Tinian and Guiguin lacks the authority to enact legislation that would regulate a matter that is not exclusively a local matter or an activity that can be clearly restricted to Tinian. So I think that's the main thing. So I think that they're going to need to make it a bigger thing, and they're going to try to do it
for CNMI wide. I imagine that's what the next step would be for this. And why would they do, how are they going to do that? If it was Tinian's idea, how are they going to get it to where everyone else is going to do it? Well, when you saw that meeting that took place not too long ago over at the Aqua, where it was the Tinian delegation and the Rhoda delegation getting together to talk about issues that could be beneficial for everybody, that kind of seems like that. That would be like, hey, this will be something for the CNMI if we can make this work. Now, here's my thought about it, though. Where do we make our money off of these Tinian bucks? Again, that's not what they were called. But they call it the Tinian stable token, the e-currency from Tinian. Where do we make our money on that? There's no transaction fee because when you're doing this, you can't make any money off of it. So where does the CNMI make their money from doing this? I don't know. That's where is the potential for making money for the Commonwealth? Not sure. Is it for the individual folks who are hosting the gaming? There's a reason why you would want to create something to push the money through. We're not allowed, as part of the conversion, to take any money. It's a dollar for dollar exchange. This is the way it was explained to me. So hopefully we'll be able to get somebody who's involved in this from the delegation from Tinian who can explain to us, what are the merits of it, to tell us a little bit more about it and, where we can really win from this. And then maybe it'll get more support and maybe it would end up grabbing a larger base of support from Saipan and Rhoda, which it looks like it's going to have to be based on that decision on that veto. If the governor's saying that the attorney general saying, hey, this is too big of a thing for the Tinian and Guiguin legislative delegation. This would have to be, and you can't limit it to just Tinian and Guiguin. This would have to be a CNMI-wide thing that gets has oversight from the CNMI. There's no way that it would just be limited to there. So it's something about like digital payment systems, internet gaming devices, all that stuff that would have to be regulated across the CNMI. So if they're going to have to get the support from Rhoda and Saipan on something like this, and then if it ends up coming down to a Senate vote, and they've got, you already got the Tinian votes, and then you just got to get probably the Rhoda votes, and then you're good to go. It'll take you over the finish line. Then you just need like maybe one or two, maybe, of the senators from Saipan, which is, by the way, how the casino got here in the first place. Because it used to just be a Rhoda votes for Rhoda when it came to the casino, Tinian votes for Tinian, and Saipan votes for Saipan. But when Saipan voted for Saipan, it just got defeated both times. But when they opened up to the whole CNMI, they got everybody shaking the trees to get all the votes to make it pass. And that's how we got IPI. That's it. All right, well, that's going to be a good one. Hopefully we'll get someone from the delegation who can tell us more about it. I'm sure they're not happy with the way it went down, but if they can explain it to us, maybe we can, hear more about it and see if we can't let people know about it too. Okay. Any other stuff? Oh, we were just about 10:30, and I figure that's going to be our wrap up today. It's been a heck of a show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly did. I'm thankful that we got you guys watching. Thankfully, we got you guys in the comments letting us know what's going on. Oops, sorry. Okay, great. I got to send a message about this. Oh, membership fees. Is that how they do it? Through membership? Maybe that's it. Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, Luisa, we are still on. We're going to be on, but just for like another 2 minutes. And that may be 1 minute now. We're going to wrap it up because I think I think we're all talked out. I think we knocked out about as much as we could do today. So, all right. Fantastic. I love that as well. Another message came in. All right, guys. Well, thanks to all of you for tuning in today. Thanks for your comments.
thanks for your phone calls. And I hope that today was as educational for you as it was for us. We had 2.5 hours with a senator from Saipan on the show. That's right. There's no other way to do that. You're not going to get that anywhere else unless you're their pal. All right. All right, guys, that's it. 10:30, great day. If you like the weather that you got so far today, it's perfect. It's going to make some things green again. It is 82 degrees out here in Saipan. We're looking at scattered showers. They're supposed to be wrapped up mostly before noon today. Partly sunny skies outside of that. High near 87. It's going to be a little bit breezy, and that's not bad at all. We're looking at the gust as high as 21 miles per hour. And that's what we're looking at for the rest of the day. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Good morning, Marianas.
Hope it's your best day yet.
Things we gotta discuss. Happy day, Tirawamian greetings to Rhoda, Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. For all your island news from a beautiful place with Pacific views. It's always so much fun on Good Morning, Marianas.
Okay, I lied. I'm not leaving yet. I am gonna, though, very soon. I swear. I've just realized that I can't, because I'm like, normally, if I got someone fancy coming in, I am not just wearing a regular t-shirt or anything. I got this shirt, thankfully, from the ladies who are on the show with us from Child Protective Services and Department of Youth Services. They came on and told us about all the activities that they got all month long, and they had a big youth tournament, and we got this. It says Strike Out Child Abuse, and it is great. And Mariah said it's also because on the back there's all the information of where you call if there's like child abuse suspected. So she's also like, hey, and we also want to give your family these shirts so that your kids have the number so they know who to call if you start spanking them again. Like, that's great. That is great. I want to say thanks for the gear for the folks from DYS and Child Protective Services. All right, well, that's going to wrap us up for today. Want to say thanks to all of our guests, for all of our commenters, and all of our viewers, and for our big guest, Senator Manny Castro. Thanks so much. Now I'll play the song again, and we're going to call it a show. Have a great day.
Good morning, Marianas. So many things we gotta discuss. Happy day, Tirawamian greetings to Rhoda, Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. For all your island news from a beautiful place with Pacific views. It's always so much fun on Good Morning, Marianas.